This year, I've shared a bunch of Minecraft seeds on my channel, so I've compiled a year-end list of 200 clips from videos with my personal favorites. We've got a whole lot of villages, a whole lot of islands, mansions, mountains, the new pale gardens, so many different things. Quickly, to let you know, since spawn points changed in recent updates, I will add a small detail that shows the version of which each seed was originally found, so you can create the world in that version to get the spawn point where it was when I originally shared it. Otherwise, all coordinates will be provided in a blog post which has a link in the description. Alright, that's enough of me yapping. Let's see my favorite 200 seeds from this year. Happy New Year. Minecraft doesn't spawn players into the world in the same spot every time. In fact, by default, there's a 21 by 21 block area in Java Edition and 10 by 10 block area in Bedrock Edition that is considered as your spawn radius around the actual world spawn point. In this seed, there's a small chance that you spawn into the world in a dripstone cave. Don't worry about that though, because you can just recreate the world and get a different spawn point, or just do what I did. Once you're out of the cave, you'll notice an absolutely incredible spawn area in this world. We have these beautiful frozen peaks mountains that spawn that form a circular area. There's some more mountainous terrain outside of the immediate spawn area too. In the middle of those spawn frozen peaks, there's a village in Java Edition. And as a reminder, I record on Java Edition, so those are the structures I'll show. On Bedrock Edition, structures generate in different locations, so they likely won't be there. And finally, we have this spot here. This is where the spawn cave generated for me. I think these big crater and cave areas always look really interesting. This floating dripstone and packed ice looks really cool. So yeah, that's just a really awesome spot to spawn into this world. Cliff islands are always cool to find. This one is made up of frozen peaks, forest, and a tiny taiga biome, which also has a tiny village. There's only 3 houses, and with that they all generate on top of the cliffs. Nothing except for paths generate down in the water. I think this island looks pretty cool with it being partly frozen, and even cliffs on the other side look awesome. Pretty great cliff island seed. This seed has a spawn on top of a woodland mansion, and lately I've been doing searches for tall woodland mansions. This one isn't the tallest that I found, but I think it looks the coolest. The roof is up at Y level 201. I think having this terrain generate up here, and there essentially being a cave inside of the mansion's cobblestone foundation is just really cool. I'm going to keep looking through tall mansion seeds to see what I can find, but I think this was a pretty decent start to the process. I think this is a genuinely incredible Minecraft seed. Just the way the mountains curve and having the plains and forests under them. And then having some water nearby too. It's just picture perfect. I actually think this seed looks better in Bedrock Edition too. In Java, we have the village on the mountainside. That's not there on Bedrock, so we just have a nice beautiful mountainous landscape. When looking for mountain seeds in Minecraft, this is the type of seed I hope to find. So often when looking for seeds to showcase in videos, I look for something over the top like a tall mansion or tall mountains. This seed is the opposite of that. The spawn is in a plains biome that's relatively flat and there's a lot of trees around with the forest nearby. There's also an ocean over close by too. In all honesty, if I were choosing a Minecraft seed to just play survival on, this is probably what I would go with. It's just a nice place to build and kind of a perfect little area to spawn at. What I haven't mentioned is that there are a few little cave openings around the area too. This one doesn't lead to much, just a little ravine type area. This one actually leads to a really big cave, which is pretty cool. But this one leads to a big cave with an exposed mineshaft. I mean, this is just really cool. This mineshaft is one of the first places I'd explore in this seed. Just really cool having an exposed and an easy access cave like this. Overall, this is just an absolutely fantastic Minecraft seed to play survival on, I think. I think this seed is almost a perfect example of a classic survival island in modern Minecraft. I mean, this is pretty much exactly what I hope to find when making a video about survival island seeds. Just a small island with one tree. I guess the only thing that you could say is missing is a bit of gravel and sugarcane. Well, that's doing some nitpicking for sure. It's just a great classic survival island in modern Minecraft. Stay tuned because later in the video I have a seed that to me is a perfect survival island. This is probably my favorite Minecraft Pale Garden seed I've found so far. I really like islands, so finding a Pale Garden island was at the top of my list of seeds to find. Just seeing the gray of the Pale Garden in the middle of the island looks really cool. It just really stands out with it being surrounded by the green of the dark forest. My favorite part of this seed is this ravine thing cutting into the Pale Garden here. The pale oak trees being above the lush cave just look really cool, and I really like the look of the lakes too. You can even get a look at the dull watercolor in a Pale Garden too. At some point I'll hopefully find a smaller island, but for now this big island will do. And I'm definitely not complaining about that because this is a really cool Minecraft seed. Cherry grove biomes aren't as broadly popular as they once may have been, but I still get a decent amount of people asking about cherry grove biomes. And I have one right here. You can see so many cherry trees just all around and not much else in sight. By my very scientific process, I see that this biome is about 1,350 blocks across. So yeah, that's a pretty big cherry grove biome, I think. This seed gives you one of the quickest ways to get a diamond ever. I spawned into this world looking directly at a blacksmith building, and that's where I found the diamond. I always show each village variant, but desert villages are probably the least. I'm just not a big fan of desert biomes, but this one has some azalea trees and an oak tree over there, so that's useful. And by the way, there's a trial chamber underneath the village too. So yeah, decent desert village seed here, and it just so happens that you can get a diamond right away. This seed has a jungle temple right next to a village, and that's probably not even the coolest thing about it. The village is in a plains biome that borders a jungle and forest. The jungle temple is right across a path from the village church. This huge cave opening is in the middle of the village, and 5 buildings are in the cave. Seeing the dripstone around the buildings is just really awesome. Just really cool Minecraft world generation. Finding things like this is always fun. Part 2 of the Caves and Cliffs update back in Minecraft 1.18 brought big changes to Minecraft Mountains. That was one of my personal favorite Minecraft updates. Now in 1.21.4 we get the Garden Awakens drop, which brings us the big addition of the Pale Garden. I decided it would be pretty cool to look for some seeds with that Pale Garden surrounded by mountains, and that's what we have here. I do think it looks really cool to see those gray trees surrounded by mountains. I think the colors look interesting together, but really pretty much anything inside of mountain circles looks good, and I think I just like mountain circles no matter what. There's plenty of reasons why you would want a seed like this. Obviously the first is that it just looks awesome, but maybe you want to play survival in a bit of a different way than usual, and this would provide that opportunity, or maybe you want a unique place to build in creative. Perhaps you just want a seed with the new biome at spawn. Plenty of reasons to use this seed for sure, but it doesn't stop at just the mountains in Pale Garden. There's also a pillager outpost right here too. It has a few log collections and an iron golem cage, so this could be useful for you. But this down here is my favorite part of this seed. Having such easy access to a cave like this is really great. There's even a small section of dripstone cave over here to go along with the bigger lush cave. I always like when the different cave types clash like this. I just really like this whole area a lot. I really like how lush caves look, and I don't think that'll ever really change. And of course, I like this whole spawn area as a whole. The mountains and Pale Garden combination is something I really like, and I'm sure I'll be looking for more going forward. I typically just call seeds like this ocean village seeds. I mean, that's all it really is, just a village in the middle of an ocean. No real island or any land or anything. This village is pretty big with 22 buildings. That includes a blacksmith, a tannery, and a library. There's a frozen ocean nearby too. And check this out right here. Shipwrecks generating like this in icebergs is easily my favorite thing to happen in frozen oceans. So yeah, that's a pretty cool ocean village seed. The spawn of this Minecraft seed looks really cool. I mean, if I were to just look here, it would just look like a mountain seed, though there is this cave opening with some lush cave back there. But if I go over to the ocean to look at the cliffs, well, we get this huge cave opening. This just looks really cool. The cave is pretty big too. We can see it opens up to the surface here, and towards the back it goes down to the deep dark. Like I said, just a cool looking area. And if you're looking to build a cave base, this is a decent seed to do so. I also just want to mention that there's an ancient city under the mountain in both Java and Bedrock in the same location. so that's pretty nice. Just thought I'd mention for those interested. But anyway, yeah, this spawn location with the cave and mountain is why I said the spawn of this seed looks really cool. This is a Cherry Grove village seed. The spawn of this seed is on the edge of a river in between a meadow hill and a Cherry Grove hill. There are some big dripstone cave openings on the edge of the Cherry Grove cliffside. Cherry Grove circles are always fun to find. They just look really awesome. And they look even better when there's a structure in the middle like a village. In this case, this seed could have been a part of my 20 mountain seeds video that I posted on Friday. I wanted to talk about more than just mountains, so I'm featuring it here. You've seen the incredible terrain of this seed. Peaks, cliffs, just fantastic. I thought this peak would be the highest at Y level 242, but this one reaches Y 261. And look at this over here. It's an exposed lush cave area with some cool looking pillar type things, and it leads to a large lush cave area. Speaking of that, there are some lush cave spots on that first tall peak mountain that I showed too. As for the cliffs at spawn, well, they're just incredible. I always like the colors of a mesa going down cliff sides, and lush cave openings are cool too. The shipwreck is here too. It just has that one layer of blocks in the water, and not sure how you would say this made it into the water in the first place because this cliff area is actually enclosed. Finally, up here, there's a desert temple. I guess this just adds to how incredible a seed this already is. 4 chests at the bottom with loot as always. Also, I just want to say that this snow is kind of funny with all the warm terrain in this area. Just feels like it probably shouldn't snow here, but that's Minecraft terrain generation for you. This is just a really awesome Minecraft seed. This seed has a plains biome at spawn. In a 1000 block radius, the plains covers about 80% of it. The only parts it doesn't cover are a small bit of windswept gravelly hills and some rivers. In both Java Edition and Bedrock Edition, there are villages close to the spawn. You will find other structures throughout the biome too. I often show crazy terrain or crazy structure seeds, but I think I should add in at least one seed like this that is just a basic Minecraft seed with tons of space to easily build or whatever. There are a couple trial chambers below the plains, but this is the closest one to the spawn point. I really appreciate the fact that these are in the same spawn in Bedrock and Java. Hopefully that's kind of the standard for structures going forward. But yeah, that's just a big plains biome seed. Now let's look at an island on the other side of things. Cliff islands are like the epitome of modern Minecraft. I can't really make one of these videos without adding a few cliff islands. This cave is easily my favorite part of this island, and check this out. The cave goes all the way to the other side of the island. It even forms some pretty cool cave openings over here. This big island is mostly made up of a split between plains and frozen peaks. There are some small sections of grove and forest too. I mean, this is just a really cool island. There's something odd about this Minecraft seed. There's some pretty wild terrain at spawn. I'm sure somebody could figure out something cool to build around here. The water could be great to build around, and I think that spot could be incorporated into a build. And then we have the woodland mansion with a witch hut on top of it. This just looks really cool. These huts aren't usually something I usually look for, but finding one conflict with a mansion like this is just awesome. The witch being stuck on the roof is just really funny. I don't know, just thought it looked really cool. This seed has a spawn on the edge of an old growth spruce taiga. As I fly up though, we can see that it's actually a big island. This mountain section causes some cliffs to form. There's also a big section of dark forest here. I noticed that there was an azalea tree here, so I knew this seed had a chance at a trial chamber being in a lush cave, and I wasn't disappointed. The vines, blossoms, and cave vines growing throughout the chamber rooms look awesome. I had this random floating vine here too. Here's a quick look at this chamber from the outside. I think doing a run through this chamber could be pretty fun with the addition of the lush cave bits in it. At the very least, it adds some extra ambiance. Minecraft cliff islands are always cool. Cliffs just jutting out of the ocean look really awesome. This one is split between a birch forest and a taiga biome. This side just looks wild. This cave is just really awesome. Just a really cool Minecraft seed. There's not really much else I have to say. But that's why I said cliff islands are always cool. I recently featured this Cherry Grove circle seed. However, it gets better in Minecraft 1.21. We spawn at this pretty big Cherry Grove circular area. Down at the bottom is a plains biome. What makes it better in 1.21 is that underneath this, there's a trial chamber. Here's a look at the size of the chamber. The fact that Minecraft's underground dungeons have evolved from this to this is pretty crazy. Back above ground, I just want to mention a couple more things quickly. Firstly, on the outside of the cherry grove, there are these dripstone craters that look awesome. With lush caves and deep dark being in the game, I think dripstone caves are actually a bit underrated. I really like the look of them when they generate on the surface like this. There's also this hillside village. These are always a favorite of mine, just because they look really crazy. Generating with bits of dripstone cave near it makes it even better. But yeah, that's a cherry grove circle seed. This seed is a perfect example as to why mountains can really make Minecraft terrain look incredible. The spawn area is just stunning. The mountains form a circular area with a flower forest in the middle and a nice big lake. The waterfalls flowing down to the lake are really awesome. This little spot of flower forest joining the mountain peaks looks kind of cool too. This is just a fantastic spawn area, just such a fantastic Minecraft seed. I don't really know what to say about this seed. It's like it wants to be just an ocean village, but then this thing wants to be a cliff island. So yeah, I don't really know what to really say aside from that. Just a weird Minecraft spawn location. And yeah, I just think this looks cool, so I figured I'd share it. Let's see another pretty basic Minecraft seed. We spawn in this plains biome flanked by an ocean on one side and a forest on the other. No structures, no crazy terrain, just a nice Minecraft seed for building and playing survival. Digging down at this spot on the edge of the forest brings you to a trial chamber. The intersection rooms of trial chambers have beds, and this is probably my favorite one, with the bedroom surrounded by water. Here's a look at the pretty expansive trial chamber with a few tall sections. If you're looking for a decent survival seed with a trial chamber under spawn, this is a great option for you. This new pale garden works in a similar way to how the cherry grove biome was added into the game. In that case, the cherry grove would just replace some sections of meadow biomes in a world. This meant the world generation overall wouldn't change, just certain sections of meadows. This update does the same thing, except it changes some parts of dark forest biomes into pale gardens. I said all of that just to say that means we're due to find some pretty awesome woodland mansion and pale garden seeds. The woodland mansion would generate in a dark forest, obviously, and with the pale garden just replacing some already existing dark forests, that means there's going to be plenty of seeds with mansions right next to or even in a pale garden. This search here with a mansion within 100 blocks of spawn in a pale garden 25 blocks away from the mansion gave me over 1,000 results in less than 30 seconds. Of course, one of those is the seed we've been looking at while I've been yapping. There's a little hill, so there's some height to the mansion on this side, and the mansion entrance is even within the pale garden, so that's pretty awesome. One thing I do like to do with mansions is check if there's alleys inside, and in this case there is. One more thing though, if we go across the pale garden and into the jungle, we can find a temple here. Nothing new about this, but it's still great finding an old structure like this. I mean, the new pale garden and 2 structures near spawn, pretty decent option for a seed for your new Minecraft world. This Minecraft seed spawns us in a pretty decently sized cherry grove biome. We see those pink trees generating around us at a pretty far distance. The biome generates with some different elevation levels, which causes this cool lake to form. It looks really cool being so much lower than the cherry grove terrain. A bit random, but I really like the color of the water in cherry grove biomes. This is just a really cool area to spawn in the world near. There's also a village close by. It's on the edge of the cherry grove, which causes some weird generation. There are also sections of dripstone generating around the village. Overall, a pretty cool looking village. And overall, a really awesome Minecraft seed. I found this seed with a super tiny island at spawn. A real throwback type of Minecraft island seed. When I do searches for island seeds, this is the type of seed I try to find, but it isn't always that easy. A small piece of land, some trees, an ocean monument in the distance, a mushroom biome in the distance, almost the perfect survival island to me. I'll never get tired of finding Minecraft seeds like this. Cliffs just jutting out of the ocean just look really awesome. I usually like to find cliff islands that have space to build too, so this isn't quite that, but it still looks pretty cool. And it even has a temple on the cliffside here. Just a really cool Minecraft seed. This seed has a Frozen Peaks mountain circle at spawn. and in the middle is a woodland mansion. Those two things are pretty cool, but not even my favorite part of this seed. That's because right underneath the mansion is this lush cave. We even get this part of the mansion going into the cave. And there are pieces of lush cave inside of the mansion too. Just really cool. Further underground than this lush cave is a double ancient city. So that's pretty awesome, but this trial chamber being right next to it is even better. And this trial chamber has spots of lush cave and spots of deep dark in it too. Definitely a lot to check out in this seed, and the lush caves add so much to most of the things I showed. Seeds like this always look pretty cool. I know cherry groves have lost their luster a bit, but these cherry grove circles aren't necessarily the easiest to find, especially ones that generate right at spawn. I do still like the pink leaves too. This huge lake here is awesome too. Often when I'm looking for a lake in the middle of a cherry grove circle, it's more of the size of a pond. So this is just great. If you don't want to build in the cherry grove, there's lots of plains outside of it. There's a village over there, one with 3 churches over there, and one over there too. And there's this one. Having so much of the village generate down in this crater is just really awesome. We've even got some dripstone down here too. Definitely a really cool village. So not only do we get a cherry grove circle with a lake at spawn, but we have a village in a cave right next to it too. Just a really great Minecraft seed. I loaded into this world looking directly at a cave. Walking into that cave showed me something I wasn't quite expecting, but I was happy to see. It's just a huge lush cave. And let me tell you, this is actually a lush cave island. It looks absolutely insane. A Stony Peaks biome divides 2 sections of bamboo jungle. Cliff islands just look awesome as they are, but when you add in a lush cave opening on the side, it gets even better. I mean, just look at how awesome this looks. Just absolutely incredible Minecraft world generation. I think the jungle trees being on the edge of the cliffs and in front of the cave opening adds some really awesome detail to the area. This is just a really awesome Minecraft seed. The first thing I noticed when entering into this world was this big cave opening. It's a huge dripstone cave that runs underneath the mountains. After that, I flew around and realized that there are a lot of mountains around the spawn. It really is a fantastic mountainous area. I think the valley between these 2 mountains is my favorite thing about this seed. Actually, no, that's a lie. Because on the other side of the mountains is this. Yeah, a mansion and village in the middle of a circular mountain area. The mansion is pretty tall due to the mountains. It really shows how small the village buildings are. Some of the village generates right up against the mansion, and even within the foundation. With how spectacular that spawn looked, I didn't think it could get better, but this definitely makes it better. This Taiga Village island has 3 blacksmith buildings. Most are probably most familiar with Plains Village blacksmiths because that's the original. But this is what a Taiga blacksmith or weaponsmith building looks like. And this village happens to have 3 of them. 2 of them are right next to each other. From my experience, Taiga blacksmiths generate with more frequency than other village variants, so I often find multiple in villages. Near this spawn island, there's an azalea tree, which means there are lush caves underground, and there's this island with an ocean ruin on it too, which looks pretty cool. But yeah, Taiga Island Village is really awesome. Having 3 blacksmiths makes it even better. So I've got a plains village here. You can see it's a really big plains biome. There's also a pillager outpost and a ruined portal over there, and one more village at the edge of my render distance. The spawn village is a bit of a mess. This big ravine and cave opening thing just causes a bit of craziness here. We can see the village well and building here, and right over here there's a house next to this huge cave. But at an even lower elevation, we can find these 2 buildings. Just a couple of cave buildings, I guess. This just looks really cool. Definitely a really unique village. This Minecraft seed is just incredible. It's actually a Stony Peaks island with a section of bamboo jungle on it too. Then, of course, we have the cliffs. The jungle vines and such on this side look awesome. This side is kind of short with it being stony shores. We see a little cave entrance on this side, but this side is the reason why this seed is just incredible. That big lush cave opening looks so cool. The lush cave itself looks great. It's kind of multi-layered, has a few pillars, just really cool. This is such an awesome island seed. That lush cave cliff is just great. The spawn of this seed is in a cherry grove biome, and the cherry grove actually forms a circular area with a village on the lake in the middle. The village being on the lake just looks awesome. I like the combination of the village paths and some of the lake being that cherry grove watercolor. I also like how there's a dripstone cave area here too. This place just looks incredible. I think it's pretty cool that this island has 2 different biomes in such a small area. We've obviously got the taiga, which causes a taiga variant village, but there's a dark forest biome here too. Just makes this island a bit more unique, I guess. You may have also noticed a few azalea trees on the island, which means there's a 3rd wood type on the island. This one is right up against a building. Of course, that also means we have these lush caves underground. This just being a deep slate cave with the lush cave on the roof looks really cool. Having 2 biomes, a village, and 3 wood types on such a small island is just really cool. If you're looking for a big mountain area with jagged peaks, I have a seed for you. That off-white biome on the map, yeah, that's all jagged peaks. They're all generated around Y level 256 in the world. You can see how crazy this biome looks. This cave is generated on the outside of the biome, just a huge cave on the mountainside. It being a dripstone cave makes it even better. And speaking of caves, this spot here is really cool. These pillars start all the way up at Y level 175-ish and go all the way to a section of deep dark. Interesting spot to stumble upon. Just jagged peaks everywhere in this one. Spawning into this Minecraft world, it just looked like a fairly typical seed would spawn in a forest with mountains and a pillager outpost. But when I went over to the outpost, I saw this. Yeah, I don't know. I just think this looks pretty funny. I do so many seed searches for specific things, and I think I may have to start looking for floating shipwrecks too. It's kind of just a random funny thing to find in Minecraft, I guess. So yeah, that's all. Just thought it was kind of cool. The terrain in this Minecraft seed just looks really cool. A windswept savanna meets up with a desert and it causes this hill arch type thing. Inside here you can see it's dark, sort of cave-like with mobs spawning. But it's truly just a big arch. I've been showing this side, but this side looks pretty cool too, even if it's just a bit more messy with the windswept terrain and a village being here. There's actually a blacksmith here that generates with a piece of land on top of it and then a building on top of that. It's a pretty unique place for a village, and overall just a pretty unique looking Minecraft seed. Just a word of advice from me. Sometimes when you add jungle biomes to stony peaks biomes, it creates some really awesome looking terrain. Back to the terrain now, those jungles and stony peaks get even better when they're near an ocean. It can cause some really awesome looking cliffs. And then we throw a roofed forest into the area, and this right here can happen. The mansion meets under a section of stony peaks and frozen peaks, which looks really awesome. We have the frozen section going down this one section of cliffs, and then the waterfall going down the stony section of cliffs. The entrance of the mansion is waterlogged, and the waterfall coming down next to it just looks awesome. Inside of the mansion, I found alleys, an arena room, and every floor has lush caves generating throughout it, which creates some really cool looking scenes. But my favorite part is that the top floor actually gets blocked off due to the cliff and cave generation. There's just a wall blocking off the top floor here. The mansion isn't the only feature within the cliffs though, because this ruined portal generates on the side of the cliffs too. I think this looks pretty cool. Not the most convenient spot for a ruined portal to generate if you're playing in survival though. If we go west along the cliffs, we come across this hollow cave-like area. The waterfalls in front add to how awesome this area looks. Just a really cool spot. One of my favorite ways for Minecraft worlds to generate. Back at spawn, on the opposite side, we've got these cliffs that generate around water, creating a lagoon type area. The only thing that would make this area look cooler is if the cliffs on this side generated higher, but I think I'm just nitpicking there because this is a really awesome world generation as it is. And then continuing over past this little savanna area, we can find a plains village. It generates with a tannery and blacksmith right next to each other. And I mostly wanted to show this because it's got sections of ocean on both sides, but it leads to more typical Minecraft terrain if you're looking for that. But yeah, that spawn area with the mansion and cliffs really just starts off an incredible seed. This seed was posted to the Minecraft seed subreddit by Unlikely Cookies 5379. Sometimes I see seeds that other people share and I think they need to be seen by even more people. So that's why I'm sharing this one. The spawn is right next to a cherry grove, and we can see mountains around the area. Cherry grove spawns are always a nice find. I really do think cherry groves are one of my favorite biomes in Minecraft. I just think they look really nice. I think the little leaf petal particles add a cool feel to the area. Underneath the cherry grove is an ancient city, so this adds to a pretty awesome spawn already. I'll never complain about one of these being under spawn. But the main focus of the seed is actually this village in the middle of a lake. The generation of this little lake island looks crazy. I really like this water ravine here. The village paths going into the water look cool. And of course, the village being within that weird terrain makes it look pretty awesome too. I like this portion of the village in the water. There's also a ruined portal in this lake. It generates right on the edge of the lake. Having two structures generated in such a small lake is pretty cool. I also wanted to show this area. A pillager outpost generates on the edge of some mountains, just a tower and a tent. And there's a village nearby too. This frozen farm here is kind of interesting. In between the two structures is this natural pillar area within the frozen peaks. It looks pretty cool. Underneath all of this is an ancient city. So that's two ancient cities underneath the spawn area. That's pretty cool. And that lake village is pretty cool too. The spawn of this seed is in some cold mountainous terrain. Right over here there's a cliffside village. There's this little bit of the village up here at the top of the cliff. And right down here, there's a shipwreck that generates on top of an iceberg and about halfway up the cliffside. The most visible village building is this one out in the ocean. There's also this one on the side of the iceberg, and we get this ice building right here. And this building is on the other side of the iceberg. With spectator mode, you can see that there's some buildings inside of this iceberg. And hidden over here, there's another iceberg building and a little building here too. Despite all of that, my favorite thing about this seed is the cave openings on the cliffside. They just look really cool, and inside the cave looks pretty cool too with the natural pillars holding up the cave. And I just need to also mention one more time that I think that shipwreck looks awesome. In the comments, share a story on how a shipwreck would end up on top of an iceberg and halfway up a cliffside like that. When I was looking for a woodland mansion village island seed for my recent island village seeds video, I came across this. Clearly, it's not an island, though it is one of those seeds that I loaded into and knew I wanted to share in a video, so here it is in this one. This is clearly a mansion village seed right at spawn, but there's also two other villages right next to spawn too. All three villages are within 300 blocks of each other. The spawn village generates with some funky terrain, like this house here, this area here, and a forest rock generating in this building. The village has a blacksmith in it, and of course, it's super close to the woodland mansion. And there's a shipwreck right next to the mansion too, and inside of the mansion, I found some alleys, a maze room, two arena rooms, and a spider spawner. And then towards the north, we've got this village. It's a fairly typical plains village with some bits generating in the water. It has a tannery and 3 temples. The way this terrain generates is pretty cool. A lot of this one generates in the water, and there's a bit of cherry grove right at the top. This village generates with a Fletcher's house and a bunch of just small houses. This cave opening here leads down to a big cave. Oh, and by the way, underground around spawn, there's lush caves. I mean, there's just so much to check out right at spawn in this seed. This Minecraft seed has so much to see. And as you can see, the spawn is up at the default cloud height. This incredible jungle and stony peaks mountain circle at spawn isn't the reason for showing this seed though. Right outside of the mountains there's a small pale garden. And this isn't the biggest of pale gardens we've seen today, but what's next to it is why I really wanted to show it. You've obviously seen the woodland mansion standing tall next to the pale garden. But did you notice that there's a jungle temple here too? So you get the Pale Garden, Woodland Mansion, and Jungle Temple all lined up with each other. And they're right next to those awesome spawn mountains. And that's not even mentioning the village that's nearby too. So that's just an awesome Minecraft seed. Cliff Island time. You know I love finding these island seeds. They always just look so cool. In this case, we've got a mix of grove biome and taiga at the top, with the big cliffs on the side having a bit of lush cave here and there. That includes this pretty awesome looking spot right here. The big openings on the side of the cliff looks really cool. I don't really even need to mention it because it's been obvious, but there's icebergs all around the island too. Just absolutely beautiful scenery all around the spawn. And I just have to point out this shipwreck here. It's a jungle and spruce ship. Ships within icebergs always just look incredible. Cliff Island seeds are awesome, and this one doesn't disappoint. I found another Ocean Village Minecraft seed here. Not much of a surprise at this point, one of my favorite types of seeds to find. Aside from this ocean ruin, that shipwreck poking out of the water, and an ocean monument over there, all I see around is ocean. The village itself has a blacksmith and a mason. I'll never get tired of finding Ocean Village seeds. There's a lot I really like about this seed. Of course, the first thing I like is the spawn cherry grove. I also really like that big lake over there. I like how there's a lot of different tree types close to spawn, and I like that the cherry grove forms an elevated circle around a village. I think cherry grove circles are one of the coolest looking things to find in Minecraft. Having a village right in the middle is just really awesome. I can picture some sort of build in here, maybe utilizing the villagers, and then out here there could be an entrance through the elevated cherry grove terrain where that cave is. You could even incorporate the lake into the build. This seed just has a lot of potential and could make a fantastic survival world. Like almost all Minecraft mountain seeds, this one just looks incredible. And if you're wondering how I found it, I will create a Cubebound Zero tutorial for my channel members. Just a woodland mansion jammed between two mountains. Mansions usually make other structures like villages look small. In this case, the mountains dwarf the mansion. If I'm looking for a woodland mansion seed, I may choose this one solely for how awesome the terrain around it looks. This seed has a Taiga Island village right at spawn. As I continue over past this beach spot, we get over to a pillager outpost. There's also some ocean ruins above the water right there too. If it wasn't for the beach connecting them, these would be two separate islands with structures. I can't decide if I like it better that it's one island, or if I'd like them better as separate islands. Either way, I think this is a really cool looking Minecraft seed. This seed is split between two pretty big islands, and there's a few reasons why I wanted to share it. Let's go to the first, which is what originally stood out to me on the map. That's this beach shipwreck here. Beach shipwrecks look really awesome. This one being on the beach so far in made it look like it washed up pretty far or something. Then we have another shipwreck right over here. This one is clearly buried, so you can dig it out if you want. It generated next to a turtle beach too. And then there's this. This crater leads right down to a mine shaft. So awesome having this generate as a part of this island. There's definitely plenty to explore around this seed. This seed has every biome type within 1600 blocks of spawn. I utilized Juro's QBiomes viewer search conditions to generate a list of these seeds. Ultimately, I chose this one for a few reasons. The first being the spawn, the second being the size of the mushroom fields biome, and thirdly, what I thought was a decent ratio of biome sizes. Let's start with the spawn. I wanted to generate in a fairly normal world, which I think is what we have here. We spawn on a turtle beach, near a flower forest, and a sunflower plains. It looks pretty normal around the spawn area. If we explore further, we can find this shipwreck village. This is a cool thing to have near the spawn. There are also mountains nearby, and they form what's pretty much a mountain ring. Speaking of that, if you're interested in seeing more mountain ring seeds, or mountains in general, check out my recent 20 mountain seeds video. And also near this area is this village that generates on the side of a hill with a dripstone cave. This definitely causes some funky generation to occur, and access to a big dripstone and deep dark cave is pretty awesome. Now the second reason for choosing this seed was the mushroom island. This one isn't very big, but it's also not like 3 blocks wide, which I could have chosen a big island that sacrificed the size of the more normal biomes, or there were seeds that had super tiny mushroom biomes. Ultimately, I chose something in the middle. And finally, biome distribution. You can see that there is a clear section of arid and desert type of biomes, a section of plains and forest biomes, and a section of cold wintry biomes. We do need to sacrifice some things like this cherry grove biome, but I think the biome distribution is decent overall. So That's an all biomes Minecraft seed. I'll put a list of 85 all biome seeds on my website for you to check out. There will also be a link in the description to a Google document with a user guide for QBiomes Viewer that contains Giroud's all biome search conditions and a helpful QBiomes Viewer guide that you can go through too. I have received plenty of comments like these asking to find an archipelago. And if you don't know, that's just a fancy word for a collection of islands. In real life, they look like this, or this, or this. Or even easier, the Philippines is an archipelago made up of 7,641 islands. So there's a little lesson for you on archipelagos. And here I have this Minecraft seed that's not quite a large group of islands like the Philippines, because there's only 5 of these big islands and some small islands over there. But I mean, this is good enough, right? This is Minecraft after all. Trying to go through all of these seeds on QBiomes Viewer for this one felt like a task I didn't want to do, if I'm being completely honest. I'd just prefer to look for something else. So I'm settling for this group of 5 biome diverse islands. Maybe not enough islands to be considered an archipelago. Maybe it is, I don't know. You can just call it whatever you want. It's a good seed to play on with friends or build on different islands. This YouTube comment ended up sending me on a little journey. It asked about finding a seed with a maximum of 2 villagers in it. A reply said the best bet is to clear out a zombie village and then cure 2 zombies. That's probably what I suggest doing too, but I wanted to find a seed with just 1 building in it. I've found a seed like that before, but it's fairly rare. It was a Savannah village, so I did a search of QBiomes Viewer Savannah village seeds. I ended up deciding to search through 300 village seeds. This is the best I could find. It has 2 buildings, but I had enough of searching through seeds, so this is what we get. It's a bit of a mess of a village with it being on a hillside. I'd probably never show this seed in any other type of video, and you know what? It had 3 villagers. All that time and it didn't even have 2 villagers like the comment requested. But anyways, here, if there's more than 2 villagers, this easily solves the issue. Let's step it up a bit for this one and make it a bit more unique than just a village. So we get this meadow village right at spawn. It's between that cherry grove village in the distance and that jungle temple. But this big ravine type hole in the ground is what makes this one so different. There's actually a village house, a well, and a farm down in this dripstone cave. So this farmer down here is stuck just working in a cave. There's even some lush cave down here too. I'll never get tired of finding Minecraft seeds like this. And if you like this seed, I recommend staying around because later in the video I have one that I think is even better. Mesa Cliff Islands are one thing I've always thought look awesome. This one doesn't disappoint, but it's a bit different than the usual big cliffs we see. This is just a tiny little island that's elevated out of the water. It looks really cool. We go from the trees at the top to the mesa colors going down the side, mixed in with stone and sand from the desert biome that's a part of the island. We've got some lush cave bits mixed in too. It's just a really cool little mesa island. You've managed to crash your ship here, and now you're stranded on this island. You can build with the ugly orange wood from the acacia trees, or you can utilize the few oak trees for more traditional wood colors. Maybe you can find some type of use for this little lagoon type area. I don't know what your plans are for surviving while stranded on this Minecraft island, but it should be a fun journey no matter what. This is an interesting place to spawn into a Minecraft world. I mean, this being an abandoned village makes it a bit more rare than this just being a regular village island. And the terrain that this village generates around looks pretty cool. I don't even know really how to explain it. Kind of just like a hill and mini cliffs. The abandoned village buildings being all around this area just makes it feel really interesting. I mean, yeah, just a unique island village seed, I guess. A while back, I showed a sparse jungle village seed. I wanted to find another because I just think they look cool. This one somewhat fits what I was looking for. Not quite as small of a plains biome as I was looking for, but still looks cool. The sparse jungle is pretty big. The village buildings with the tiny jungle trees around looks cool. There's a jungle temple off in the distance over there. And then there's this. I mean, look at this. Just crazy looking. Looks like an asteroid hit here or something. The spawn of this seed is just really cool. I mean, we get these jagged peaks mountains that spawn, forming a circular-like area. That's not really all that uncommon, it's something I show quite often. And the village here in the middle isn't too uncommon for me to share either. And all of that does look really cool, but this open air crater area right here is why I wanted to share this seed. I always like the look of aquifers like this, I just think they look really awesome. The dripstone being all around this area makes it look even more awesome. And these dripstone craters and caves stretch across a pretty big area too. And then the village being in this spot really caps it all off. We get paths in this tree down at the bottom surrounded by dripstone, we get this house here, and my favorite part is this church that's on top of the aquifer. It's just a really unique place for a village building to be. So I really like this spawn area, but I especially like that dripstone aquifer area. The spawn of this seed is in this plains biome with a couple of churches. There's sunflower plains all around and a mini cherry grove right here. Over there is a bigger cherry grove near some more sunflowers. There's another village right over here. It's right on the edge of this cave, which looks pretty cool. Underneath the spawn village, we can find this big dripstone cave. There's even a mine shaft here. But I really wanted to show this seed because of this trial chamber. I don't really do too many trial chamber searches, but I should probably do more since it's the main thing in the latest major update. So if you're looking for a trial chamber under spawn, this is a decent seed for you. It's no surprise that I really like mountains and lake seeds if you've watched my recent videos, and that's what I'm sharing here. This one happens to have a pale garden that generates near spawn too. Obviously not the biggest pale garden we've seen in this video, but that's not really the point of showing this one. This seed just looks beautiful. The frozen peaks look incredible, and having the jagged peaks behind them makes them look even better. The fog really makes them look cool back there. I wish the lake was a little bigger, but that can be a pretty easy build project. Expanding the lake a bit and adding a little cottage nearby could be really cool. Adding on to the beauty of this seed is the lush caves underground. There's also some trial chambers over there and an ancient city over there. This spawn area is just incredible, just an absolutely beautiful Minecraft seed. This is one of my favorite types of seeds to look for. Looking at the spawn, you may think that would be mountain seeds. And I do like mountains, this valley is really cool, but this right here is what I like searching for. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pillager outpost, but I like finding structures that generate on cliffs with a shipwreck. I've shown a village seed like this before, which was just as cool. The outpost generates with a couple of alley cages. The floating shipwreck just always looks hilarious to me. All of the terrain around the spawn area of this seed looks incredible. There's a village over there too. Now, let's get to the main event of this seed. Going underground right here near the outpost will bring us to a zombie spawner. It's connected to a big cage that's open to the surface, but this old dungeon isn't what we're looking for. Continuing down leads us to a trial chamber. We're right near this little parkour section. All the coordinates on my website post will be to the entrance room of the trial chamber, so you can start out there for a full trial chamber run. With a look at the entire chamber, we can see it has a few sections that extend up pretty high. I may need to add trial chambers into my list of favorite types of seeds to find after seeing this one. This is the type of seed I hope to find when searching for Minecraft cherry grove seeds. A big circular cherry grove area with a plains at the bottom and a little lake. Nothing too over the top, but still a really awesome looking area. The addition of caves and cliffs to Minecraft and the changes to mountains were a couple of the biggest changes to terrain that Minecraft has ever had. This seed combines all of that at spawn to create an absolutely incredible location. The lush cave cliffs in front of the frozen peaks just look really cool. Having some jagged peaks nearby is pretty cool too. The two sets of mountains form this pretty awesome valley between them. I mean, I don't really know what else I want to say about this seed. It just looks really cool. Swamp islands are not something I really look for. Just by the way swamp biomes generate, they don't necessarily look like an island, nor do they look like somewhere I'd want to live. So they're just not something I ever think about looking for. But I changed that up here, obviously. I had a go at finding a witch hut island, and this is what I found. I may do a refined search in the future and find something a bit better. I decided on this one because it gives the witch hut, of course, but also because it gives a forest too. Certainly not a traditional type island, but that's my go at a witch hut island. Alright, so this seed is just one of those seeds that looks beautiful. Just so much to like about it. The cherry groves add some bright colors to the area, as does the sunflower plains. The mountains look absolutely wonderful. The waterfall flowing into a pond is really awesome. And the dripstone cave opening is just really cool. Just an absolutely fantastic spawn area, and I'd love to see what you guys build in this area. Go ahead and tag me in some tweets or on Instagram with screenshots of something you build in this seed. We spawn into the seed on the edge of a cherry grove hill. The biome forms a circular area, around an area mixed with plains and sunflower plains. It's an excellent place to build a spawn base. That area is great, but this is my favorite part of this seed. This huge dripstone cave opening looks incredible, and it gets even better when you go inside the cave. We have a mine shaft forming over this lake. We have a spider spawner right next to a ruined portal, all combined with the dripstone cave's natural pillars. It's just an absolutely stunning area. I've seen many dripstone caves, and this is one of my favorites. This Minecraft seed is a winter wonderland. The frozen peaks form a circular area around a bunch of grove biomes in this frozen lake. For some reason, lately I've been really interested in finding frozen lake seeds. I just think they look really cool. Adding in everything else around spawn just makes this such a beautiful seed. Which is exactly why I said this Minecraft seed is a winter wonderland. This is one of my favorite Cherry Grove Minecraft seeds that I've ever personally discovered. The spawn is in the Cherry Grove and on the edge of some mountains, and moving forward brings us to the edge of some cliffs with a big lake at the bottom. The Cherry Grove forms a circle-like area around the lake. It just looks incredible. I can only imagine the types of builds people could create in this area. On the outside of the Cherry Grove circle, there's this dripstone cave opening. It leads to a mine shaft and it goes all the way down to deep slate level. I think exposed mine shafts like this are really cool. And I like the hanging mine shaft areas too. This is just another cool addition to an already incredible looking spawn area. Like I said, one of my favorite Cherry Grove seeds I've ever discovered. I'm naming this seed the Flower Islands. As you can see, there are two islands split by a stream of water. This one is a flower forest biome, and this one is a sunflower plains biome, hence the Flower Islands. There's two islands, so play on this with a friend. I spawned into this world on the edge of a meadow hill. Looking up, I immediately saw a blacksmith building. That's a pretty awesome start to the world, but it got even better when I noticed this is a ruined portal village. This at spawn combined with the elevated terrain, including some mountains, is just really awesome. But it's even better when we realize there's a woodland mansion nearby too. I wouldn't classify this as a tall mansion by any means, but there's still a significant amount of cobblestone there. Just a great spawn area for this one. One way to make a mountain circle even cooler is by having the circle split between two types of mountains. That's what we have here. About half of the circle generates with jagged peaks and the other half generates with stony peaks. There's a forest biome in the middle. The terrain in this area looks really cool. There are more mountains outside of the spawn and some more right here. This ravine thing looks really cool. Let's call that a split circle mountain seed. This might be my favorite tall woodland mansion island seed that I've ever personally discovered. The mansion is up at Y level 171, so it's pretty tall. Not the tallest mansion I've ever found, but it still looks cool. I think the reason I like this seed so much specifically is because of how small the roofed forest biome is. It just makes it so most of this area is just woodland mansion. Just such a cool mansion island, one of my favorites for sure. Let's take a look at a dark forest cliff island seed. The seed generates around Y level 150. As a result, we get some pretty tall cliffs on the island. Along the cliffs, there are some lush cave spots. This is my favorite part of the seed. A big lush cave ravine that splits part of the island. Underneath the island is this ancient city. With the lush cave here, it looks incredible. This just adds on to how awesome the seed already is. This is just a really awesome looking Minecraft seed. This seed has a spawn in a mangrove swamp, and there's a super tiny sparse jungle right next to it. We get this ravine too. Then we have the village. I think this area with the water and dripstone looks pretty cool. It's pretty cool how covered the buildings are. Flying above, you can only see the buildings from certain areas. Just really cool having the mangrove swamp surrounding the village buildings. And now we have a woodland mansion island. There's also a pretty awesome looking bamboo island nearby, another option for building or living on. The cobblestone foundation of the mansion blending with the cliffs of the island looks pretty awesome. And I really like this side with the cliffside and terrain on the side of the mansion. There's some ocean ruins over here on the land, which is pretty cool. And over here is a ruined portal. So we get an extra island and we get extra structures to go with the mansion. I really like this seed. This seed has a big frozen peaks biome at spawn. You can see the biome on the map in that grayish blue color. Much of the biome generates up towards Y level 256, just frozen peaks all around. My favorite part of this seed is this valley between the frozen peaks and a section of jagged peaks. It's just a stunning area to travel through, just truly beautiful world generation. This seed here has a spawn point within a mangrove swamp biome. So, me personally, I've grown to not be the biggest of fans of the mangrove swamps. I like various aspects of the biome, but it's just not somewhere I ever really want to spawn into. So it's a bit odd I'm featuring this because of that, but there's a couple of reasons why. The first being that there's a village that generates right inside of the swamp, and it's actually a zombie village too, which makes it a bit more awesome, I suppose. The buildings do look pretty cool surrounded by the mangrove trees. But wait, look right over here too. Yeah, this is a desert temple village. Would have loved it if the temple generated in the swamp too, but let's not get too greedy here. Here's a look at the loot at the bottom of the temple. If we travel northeast, there's another village on the edge of the mangrove swamp. This one happens to be a savanna village. The colors of the village definitely clash with the swamp a bit, I'd say. The terrain over there looks pretty cool, especially this crater and lake area. And a longer journey southwest will bring you out here. There's this village on the edge of a jungle, and it's actually a double blacksmith village with the two buildings being right next to each other. That gives a chance at double the blacksmith loot. There's also a ruined portal right over here too, a chance at a bit more loot. I just think this area looks really cool. But yeah, all of this starts off with that mangrove swamp, which has a zombie village within it. When looking for a double plains village, I found something pretty interesting. So I had this Cubom's Viewer search looking for 2 spawn villages in a big plains biome. I looked at this one and there's 1 village, but not 2, so it was a false positive. Instead, there's this huge dripstone cave opening in place of the village. This dripstone cave looks really awesome too, and it leads to an exposed mine shaft. Just a really cool cave. The spawn village is pretty great too. It's pretty big with 20 buildings and 7 farms. So I guess sometimes a search may not work out how you want, but it can still lead to finding something pretty cool. This is just an ocean village. A village in the middle of the ocean. Looking around, all I see is water. The village has a blacksmith, 2 churches, 3 tanneries, an armorer, a toolsmith, 2 masons, and a fletcher. This type of seed is one of my favorites to find. Pretty cool. If I were to look at this seed right here, it looks like a standard island village seed. But looking this way shows something a bit different. The clear split with the frozen ocean is pretty funny. There's even an igloo that generates on the snowy section of the island, which further cements this as a cold area. Minecraft world generation has greatly improved which biomes generate near each other over the years, but that doesn't stop things like this from still happening, and I probably wouldn't want it any other way. We have some frozen peaks that spawn in this seed. They actually form a circle, so there's a place to build in the middle, but I mean, there's also already a building here. This is a pretty cool place for a woodland mansion to generate. It's pretty tall too. There's even a small portion sticking out on the outside of the mountains too. Would you build a little neighborhood in this area with the mansion? This seed has a village between a forest hill and a jungle. It generates over a river. Some of the village goes up the hillside. There's a ruined portal in the middle of the village. The structures really conflict with each other, with the chest on a path and a tree in the middle of the ruined portal. And there's a jungle temple here too. A village farm generates going into the temple. Having 3 different structures in the same area is pretty awesome. There are a few different structures around the spawn of this Minecraft seed. The spawn is on this piece of land made up of plains and sparse jungle. It's right next to another big island with a few different tree types. They're just divided by this river. There are also some other islands around this area in the ocean too, so I guess this could be considered an archipelago. The spawn of the seed is also in this village. It has 3 armorers and a library, so that's the first structure. Heading over to the jungle brings us to our next structure. I will never complain about finding a jungle temple. And of course, the third structure is this woodland mansion. It's kinda cool seeing jungle vines on different spots of the mansion, and I always like finding the hidden room in the mansion's top floor too, and in this case we get this one with the loot in the ceiling. If all of that isn't enough and you want more, there's also a ruined portal over on the mainland if you want to check that out. If you want structures, if you want islands, this is a pretty great option. And now it's time to look at a taiga village. The village is a fairly typical size, it's near some frozen rivers, but the village isn't really why I wanted to show this seed. Right here, there's a big lush cave opening, and this lush cave looks awesome. My favorite part is this huge area with a lava lake at the bottom and lots of pillars. There's an amethyst geode right here, and a mine shaft right here. I mean, this just looks awesome. I love the look of mine shafts in lush caves. So we get a taiga village at spawn, but this lush cave just takes the seed to another level of awesome. I have to admit, this isn't really my favorite mountain circle seed I've ever discovered. There are others that I've featured in videos that I think are better than this one. But that doesn't mean I don't like this seed. I do like it, and here's why. Firstly, this small patch of cherry grove is hilarious. There are no trees here, it's just petals on the ground. At the bottom, there's a big lake. This is easily my favorite part of this seed. The waterfalls flowing down into it look awesome. Just a really awesome lake. There's a mountainside village that generates high up. This village building is right next to a big dripstone cave. I like how this building generates here. So overall, it is a pretty decent mountain ring spawn. The map shows an igloo on the outside of the mountains. At first, I thought this was the igloo with the entrance blocked off, which would have been pretty funny, but it's actually down here. It fits right in with the mountain terrain. This igloo has a basement too. Underneath the igloo, there is an ancient city. You can usually expect an ancient city when spawning into a world with mountainous terrain, but it's still great knowing it's there. There are plenty of mountains to explore around the seed too. I think this is my favorite mountain. There's a really cool mountain range here. This valley spot is pretty cool. There's a mountainside village. And there's a cherry grove on the edge of the mountains here. Go ahead and explore this seed for yourself. And just know you'll start with that mountain ring at spawn. There's some frozen peaks that form a mountain ring type area at spawn in this Minecraft seed. Just a nice beautiful spawn area. The meadow in the middle is a nice area to build, and there's already a village here. This pen is right next to a dripstone cave, and there's a dripstone crater here too. This house actually generates down here too. Looks pretty awesome with the dripstone and waterfall. I'll never complain about finding villages that generate in weird places like this. This isn't a Minecraft seed I'm showing to necessarily play survival mode on. I'm more so just sharing it because it looks cool. We spawn on a little desert island with a pillager outpost. There's a bunch of cages, including an ally cage. There's a log collection, and there are some pumpkin scarecrow targets too. There's also a ruined portal on the island. Another structure in this location just makes it even more cool. But as I said, it's not really a seed you'll want to play survival on. Not too far away, there's an island village. It's a desert village, which doesn't help the cause for survival all too much, but it's probably the second place you'd want to go after a shipwreck. There's some cool terrain for such a small island village. Off in the distance, you can see a desert biome from here, which again isn't promising for survival on this seed. Just thought it was an interesting seed to share. While searching for seeds for my recent Survival Island Seeds video, I stumbled across this seed. It didn't make it into that video, but I still wanted to feature it on my channel. The seed has twin islands at spawn, and they both have villages on them, and they're surrounded by frozen ocean icebergs. The terrain here on the spawn island looks really cool. The village on this one stretches into the frozen ocean and onto the other island. It has 13 total buildings and 3 farms. The second island has a small crater and a waterfall. The village generates completely on the island. It has 10 buildings, including a blacksmith building. Snowy style blacksmith buildings are one of my favorite village buildings. There are many ocean monuments around the spawn area, but this one is really close by, and it comes with ocean ruins on it. Just a really cool spot that I wanted to mention. And the final thing I want to mention is that there are mushroom islands close by too. You can see that with the pinkish sections on the map. Here's the one closest to the spawn islands. Since it's a pretty small island, you can explore to find a bigger one if you want to. So yeah, that's a twin snowy village island seed. This Minecraft seed feels like you're stranded on a deserted island. It's made up of sparse jungle and beach biomes. And the shipwreck here looks like it's been here for a while. It's been overgrown a bit by the sparse jungle. It may be low tide now, or it's just washed up further on the beach and the sand now surrounds most of it. Whatever happened here, it really has a true castaway island vibe. And now I have just a classic flat survival island Minecraft seed. I mean, this is just awesome. It's not quite isolated. There's another island with one tree over there and a mushroom island behind it. But I mean, it's still awesome. I'm always on the search for what I consider to be the perfect classic survival island in modern Minecraft, and this one is pretty close. Just a really awesome small island seed. Perfect for a throwback survival island playthrough. This is one of my favorite types of Minecraft seeds. A mountain ring with a cherry grove in the middle. This one has frozen peaks as the mountains. You can find sections of dripstone cave throughout them. The cherry grove takes up the entire middle area of the mountain ring. There are various sections of these cave openings and these ravine things throughout the biome. For me, a Minecraft seed doesn't get much better than this when it comes to terrain at spawn. A few years ago, the great people of Minecraft at Home announced that they found the seed featured in the iconic pack.png. You know, that little hill with the trees and waterfall? Yeah, they found it, but that seed was for Minecraft Alpha version 1.2.2. So obviously that doesn't work in modern versions of Minecraft. But this seed right here does. Reddit user Happy Plays Was Taken posted this on the Minecraft Seed subreddit. It is a very similar looking hill to the one in the original pack.png image. It even has the waterfall flowing down the side of it. Obviously, it's not exactly the same. I mean, it's lacking the water out in front of the hill, but I think that could all be terraformed if you really want. Or you can just enjoy a modern take on that seed. It was really just something interesting that I saw and wanted to feature. Things like this often catch my attention, and I think they're fun to share. So yeah, let's go ahead and go with this comment and just call this one tallpack.png. In my recent Mountain Seeds video, I shared a mountain island and I have another one here. The island is really big. In fact, even with zooming out, I can't get it all on my screen despite a maximum render distance. But you can see on the map that we've got an island with some different biomes. I can also go to Bedrock Edition with a higher render distance to get a full view of the island. Just a really big island. Of course, the big island comes with the Frozen Peaks Mountain, and there's a tiny cherry grove to add on to the biome diversity of this island. So there you have a nice big mountain island seed. This seed has a spawn within some wooded badlands, and right next to the spawn is a desert temple village. The village is pretty small and the desert biome isn't much bigger. I think a village within a mesa biome is awesome as it is. Having a desert temple in the village too is just incredible. The only real conflictions here are the village well and bell, and then this corner of a house. Right down here there's a lush cave and these buildings are down here. There's a lot of flat mesa area down there. And there's an ocean over there. Pretty cool hillside desert temple village in a mesa biome. I loaded into this world directly on top of a woodland mansion. The mansion looks over an ocean. There are several forest types around the spawn area too. And this is what the front of the mansion looks like. The cliffs look awesome, and the tall mansion looks awesome too. The entrance is up at Y level 134. This lush cave area at the bottom is really cool. Can you imagine a base being built in here? I always think lush cave bases look cool, and it could get really creative with it being an ocean cave too. As if this spot couldn't get more interesting, this ruined portal generates inside of the mansion. If you don't want the mansion to catch fire, you'll want to deal with the lava in the portal. I think it's kind of cool how it makes a big opening on the second floor. Some other things to check out in the mansion are this alley room, this arena room, this terrain in the mansion, this cat, and this room with loot hidden in the ceiling. We have that lush cave below the mansion, but this spot is an awesome lush cave area too. Just a huge crater with a lush cave at the bottom. Some really cool Minecraft generation for sure. There's another lush cave area here, a lot of big lush cave sections in here. It looks really awesome, but this right here makes it even better. Among the deep slate and lava lakes is this mine shaft, a fantastic place to explore, I think. Overall, a pretty cool seed here. I've been working on finding seeds that look like a classic survival island seed, but are in different biomes and plains, and that's what we have here with this one. It's a small savanna island. Honestly, savanna biomes aren't really a favorite of mine, but I still think it being an island is pretty cool. On Bedrock Edition, we also get that one tree on the island, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, just a small savanna island seed. One thing I like showing on my channel is Minecraft villages. It's no shock that I like showing Minecraft village seeds, and it's not different here in Minecraft 1.21.4. I do have to mention that I record on Java Edition, so that's the version the village generates on. On Bedrock Edition, structures generate in different places, so you'll only get the biomes that I show. So Java Edition, you get everything. Bedrock Edition, only biomes. Spawning in a village is convenient for plenty of reasons. I don't think I really need to get into that, but here in this new version, it's even more convenient having it right next to the brand new biome. In fact, plenty of the village even stretches into the new biome. We get these buildings right here surrounded by the pale oak trees. It's actually a pretty cool look. I really will never get tired of finding villages that are in biomes that they shouldn't be in. One thing I have to say is that I have a habit of overlooking for just plains variant villages, but I really shouldn't do that. The other village variants all look really cool too. I really like the look of taiga villages especially. I think the look of the buildings and details throughout the villages look really great. Plus, the villages feel a bit more lively. I think the campfires play a big role in that. Seeing the smoke from far away makes this place feel so alive. So yeah, I need to stop being stuck on plains villages and look for more things like this. If you were wondering, yes, this is a blacksmith village too, so that's nice for when you loot the village. Expanding out more than just the village and Pale Garden, I think this seed has a pretty great starting location. There's a lot of different types of wood all around this area, and this meadow is just a really nice place to build a spawn base. I mean, it's just a relatively flat location that's elevated up high and could make for a nice little building spot. The mountains off over there provide some really nice scenery and a natural barrier to the area, and I could even see a bridge being built between these two sections of meadows. There's just so much potential with this one, and it all starts with the Pale Garden and Taiga Village. These jungle islands form a circular area with cliffs. You can clearly see what I'm saying, but the map also gives a nice view of the circular area. The spawn is split into two islands comprised of jungle, stony shore, and a section of stony peaks. It's such a unique place to spawn into the world. One section of cliffs has exposed lush caves too. I always like how this looks. This lush cave section is really awesome. You can find a couple of trial chamber locations around the spawn area. Obviously, the one with the lush cave is going to be my favorite. I think I'm going to really enjoy finding different trial chambers in this update. The lush cave chambers alone look incredible to me, so I can only imagine what else we could see in the future. So this lush cave trial chamber, combined with those lush cave cliffs and that circular cliff area, makes this a seed I think is worth checking out. Let's take a look at a woodland mansion island now. I'm going to be honest, my search for a tall woodland mansion island didn't turn out well, so this is what I ultimately settled on. But regardless, we spawn onto a dark forest island, and on one side there are some cliffs, and on the other there is a woodland mansion. The stone going up the side of the foundation looks really cool. The mansion itself is pretty much as big as the island. And to put into perspective the size of the mansion, there is 9 rooms on the top floor. And that there is a woodland mansion island seed. This is just a small taiga island seed. Sort of like a classic survival island, but with a taiga biome instead. On Java Edition, it has 6 trees. On Bedrock Edition, it has 3 trees. For me, there's nothing better than a classic survival island. But I think changing up the biome on a small island like we see here is pretty awesome too. This is a triple village seed. That's 3 villages in a big plains biome. There are these two villages right next to each other and another one over there. The village closest to the spawn is really cool. It's a double blacksmith village. I'd probably feature the seed if the village was alone due to the two blacksmiths, but adding two more villages really made me want to feature it. These villages are only about 10 blocks apart, so if you want to make it one big village, just connect the paths. And then we have this third village, just another normal plains village. Some of it generates in the river, and that's a triple village seed. Typically when I look for island village seeds, they look like this, or like this, but sometimes I'll find something like this. What's happening here is that a taiga meets a windswept forest, so it causes this crazy terrain. There's little pieces of beach and forest on the island too. I always like the look of floating islands like this, and the terrain being really tall and up towards the clouds is just awesome too. Of course, the village just makes it even better. We get these paths all the way up here and some on the floating islands. We get a building up here, and we even get two blacksmiths next to each other. This island isn't as isolated in the ocean like other islands I usually show. The mainland is right over there, and even a village too. But I do have my render distance all the way up at 32. So this island village seed is a little ridiculous, pretty crazy terrain, but it's definitely a really interesting place to spawn into a world at. This seed has a spawn in a big flower forest biome that's also near some sunflower plains. Let's take a look at the map of this one. You can see it's a pretty big flower forest biome, and those are the sunflower plains that are near it. The flower forest is one of the biomes with a higher chance at playing the new song Featherfall. According to the Minecraft wiki, there's an 18.18% chance the song will play. There's a dripstone cave opening right near the spawn. It's a pretty substantial dripstone cave, and there's an amethyst geode here. It also leads down to deep slate level where there's an exposed mine shaft. I always like the look of exposed mine shafts, and they're an awesome place to explore too. I also just wanted to mention that this dripstone ravine looks pretty cool too. Underneath the flower forest biome, there's a trial chamber. I tried to find a dripstone cave trial chamber, but no luck this time. I'll keep working on that if it's even possible, but we get a trial chamber under spawn in this seed regardless. There are a few reasons you may want to check out this Minecraft seed, but my favorite is that dripstone cave mineshaft. One more biome and one more structure with this seed. We've got a taiga island with a pillager outpost on it. The island is, I guess I'd say, a medium size. The outpost sits right on the coast of the island. Along with a tower, it comes with 2 golem cages, 2 alley cages, an empty cage, a log collection, 2 sets of scarecrow targets, and 2 tents. Of course, the tower will come with a bit of loot at the top. That's all there really is to say about this seed. I have a Cliff Island seed here, but this one is a bit different than I normally show. There's a couple reasons for that, with the first being these ocean ruins that generate up here. Obviously, not necessarily the most normal place for ocean ruins to be, but definitely a really cool spot for them. The rest of the ruins are down in the ocean. The other reason for this one being a bit different is the biome. Typically, these cliff islands are not plains variant biomes, in this case sunflower plains. We usually see things like mountains, dark forest, or mesas, so this absolutely feels different. The biome just makes it look like a big rock sticking out of the ocean that's overgrown at the top. Just a really cool Minecraft seed. If you're wondering how I found this, I'll make a Q-Bomb viewer tutorial for my channel members. Spawning into this world, all I saw was gray. That's because this is just a big Stony Peaks biome. You can see that on the map with that gray biome there. Just big Stony Peaks up near generation height limit. There are some green sections within the biome, and a pillager outpost, and a ruined portal. But aside from that, we've just got gray. And before I stop talking about this seed, I just need to mention that this generates in the world. I mean, that's pretty sweet. This ocean village is a zombie village. Not much different than a typical Plains ocean village, other than the fact that it's an abandoned zombie village variant. It has 10 buildings and 3 farms. I guess a seed like this could provide some type of lore to start off with or something for a themed playthrough. I have always been a bit fascinated with windswept Minecraft terrain. Just the fact that this type of terrain generates in a regular vanilla Minecraft world is interesting. Somebody who's good at building, especially in like a steampunk type style, could cook something awesome up around this area. The village in this seed already gives a decent idea on how something would look here. This path block and this floating block are the highest terrain points at Y level 169. This church has the highest point overall at Y level 173. We get so many spots that look like a mess, like these paths and like buildings tucked away like this. It's pretty cool that this blacksmith is all the way up here too. This village close by that is pretty much all at ocean level is a decent reference to how crazy that windswept village looks. You can see that tall windswept terrain in the background. It's just really cool looking Minecraft terrain, and that's why I have always been fascinated by it. When you spawn into this world, you think it's just this island village. That in itself is pretty awesome, and I wouldn't hesitate to show this seed in a video on its own. There's even a shipwreck over near that little beach. But looking southwest, we can see there's actually another island village. This one has a shipwreck right next to it too, and it has a blacksmith too. The water cutting off like this is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome having two island villages so close to each other. A Minecraft island can't look much more cold than this one does. The snow, the ice spikes, the icebergs, the snowy village, the polar bears, all just very cold. I guess the only things that aren't really cold are the mushroom biomes over there. And obviously this lava pool here, which you may want to deal with early on if you don't want some of the village to burn down. Before I move down, I just want to say that I always like when pieces of village converge with icebergs like this. Spawning into this world, I saw some mountainous terrain, and looking across the ocean, I saw some pretty cool cliffs. Climbing up this hill brought me to a cliffside village, but it's not just a village. Ocean ruins generate throughout the village too. We get these ruins down here at ocean level with this building. We get this one on the cliffside. We get this one towards the top, and this all the way at the cliff's peak. I don't know, man, I just thought that was pretty cool. If you're looking for a Minecraft seed with the new pale oak trees, well, look no further. This seed has just an abundance of them. Like, this biome is just huge. I mean, there's just so many gray leaves all around. The only new thing I haven't really mentioned in this video up to this point is resin. Resin clumps are generated by creaking hearts when a creaking is damaged. I'd imagine with a pale garden this size, you could sure end up generating a lot of resin. While flying around, I noticed an azalea tree in the mix of pale oak trees. I set out to look for lush caves as a result, and I found this one exposed to the surface. This multi-layer cave just looks incredible, just such an amazing looking location. But lush caves aren't the only underground locations to explore around this spawn area either. We've got one ancient city here, and another here, and we've also got trial chambers here too. And with the lush caves around, they extend a bit into the chambers, which I always think looks pretty interesting. And I think the last place I really want to mention in this seed is a woodland mansion that generates just outside of the Pale Garden. While the mansion itself is cool, and I think it's pretty awesome it's right next to a Pale Garden, I really wanted to show this location because of this lush cave right next to it. It cuts right into the Pale Garden hillside, and there's even a mine shaft exposed at the bottom. The spider spawners could be convenient with them so exposed here, and it's just one more place to explore too, just a really cool spot. This is easily one of my favorite big Pale Garden biome seeds I've found yet, and definitely a seed I recommend if you're just looking for a Pale Garden seed. Just by the nature in which the new Pale Garden biomes generate, we're sure to find plenty of seeds with woodland mansions next to them. This mansion generating hillside makes it have a big cobblestone foundation too, and the entrance is right on the edge of the Pale Garden biome. There's some mountains around the spawn area too, and the Pale Garden fully circles around this little frozen peak here. This map gives a nice look at the circle it forms around the mountain. So I guess that's a pretty decent option for a Pale Garden seed, especially if you want one near a woodland mansion. The spawn of this seed just looks really cool. But yeah, the spawn of this seed. I mean, look at this. I'm sure you could guess I was looking for tall mansions when I found this, but this one being covered looks so cool that I needed to share it too. It's almost fully covered too, with only this spot and these two spots sticking out aside from the front. One piece of advice, you may want to turn off fire spread when using this world, or quickly find and get rid of the lava if you don't want the mansion burning down. But yeah, this spawn looks really cool, and so does this spot over here. The windswept savanna is right next to a taiga, causing this really cool looking terrain. The village being here is just really awesome. This spot up here is just great. Just a fantastic area, just a fantastic Minecraft seed. We have a couple different types of mountains around spawn in this seed. We've got stony and frozen peaks. There's some jagged peaks outside of the immediate spawn area too. There's also this big crater thing right next to a little lake too. It goes down to deep slate, and the natural pillars look really cool, especially the ones with trees on them. Just looks really cool. This seed has a spawn high up in some stony peaks. Moving forward a bit brings us to a circular mountain spot. I could talk about how awesome I think these look, but I think I've done that enough. You guys know that I think these just look incredible. The middle of this one has a forest, a birch forest, a small jungle, and a meadow. There's a jungle temple and village too. Always awesome having two structures together. Even more awesome when they're surrounded by mountains. The village has a blacksmith, and this path goes up the mountainside. Definitely an awesome Minecraft village seed. In one of my recent 5 weekly seeds videos, I featured a seed with an outpost and shipwreck on a cliff. Well, today we have a seed with a village and shipwreck on a cliff. We spawn into the world on the side of a little plains hill and can see some frozen peaks nearby. There's also this absolutely crazy area here. With the terrain being so elevated, there are some huge cliffs around this lake. Villages and cliffs always look awesome. We have a few buildings at the top of the cliffs, and some crazy looking paths leading up the side of the cliffs. It has a village well generating on the cliffside too. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but this cube of cobblestone generates directly under the well opening, but it still has water in it. It's pretty interesting. Of course, we get much of the village generating on the water. I like how this building generates, and this building too. Adding a shipwreck to this area is just really cool, especially with a village building generating underneath it. It looks incredible. The waterfalls around this area look awesome too. On the cliffside, there's a cave opening. It leads to a big cave that looks fantastic. Traveling through the cave leads to this spot. I always like the look of these natural pillars. The surface level of this area actually has some pretty cool elevated terrain, and the outside of that area looks so awesome. The seed has plenty of mountains around it, but this spot is my favorite. It's a mix of jagged and stony peaks. It's a really awesome area. I also wanted to mention this location. The outpost tower just generates by itself. It looks pretty cool on the mountain. But yeah, that village, shipwreck, and cliff spot near spawn is definitely the main reason to check out this Minecraft seed. This Minecraft seed just looks like a boulder sticking out of the ocean with some trees on top. Cliff islands always look cool, but I think these smaller sized ones are really cool. Like I said, just a boulder or rock jetting out of the ocean. The island is a taiga biome. There are some icebergs nearby, and the waterfalls on the island look pretty awesome. Just a really cool looking Minecraft island. When I say I was elated to find this seed, that's probably an understatement. I was looking for a Cherry Grove island, but to add on a village to the island too, that's just awesome. The village is just a small village. It almost perfectly lines up in the water along the shore, with just a few buildings up on the mainland. The Cherry Grove sits elevated up a bit. This causes a pretty cool look from the village. Despite the island being a bit bigger than I normally look for in a survival island, the Cherry Grove is worth it. But that's not all I want to show you in this seed, because this is right off the eastern coast of the island. You can see just how close it is to the island here. Just a cool look having the monument and shipwreck in the same place. So yeah, this seed is just really fantastic. This comment politely requested a 1.21 Jungle Village seed. Luckily for me, I already have a session for jungle villages on Cubomb's viewer, so I just loaded that up and loaded up some seeds. Here's a decent one from the list. This mini desert is surrounded by a jungle. You could even replace the sand with dirt, bamboo, and trees, and you'd probably notice. Some of the buildings do stretch into the jungle, so yeah, this is as close to a jungle village as we'll get in 1.21. This seed has 2 sections of frozen peaks, forming a little valley in the middle, made up of taiga and meadow biomes. After about 400 or 500 blocks, the mountains connect at the end. There's a village at the end too. It has 2 blacksmith buildings. I can picture a palace or keep in place of this village. And there could be a path or road through the valley with smaller buildings approaching the grand building. That's just one idea of many that could be built in this fantastic spawn location. This looks like a typical jungle island seed. When searching for jungle islands, this is pretty much what I think I'll find. But look over there. Yeah, there's a mushroom island super close by. And underneath this spot in the ocean, there's a trial chamber. So this gives you something to look forward to completing after progressing on the jungle island. At first glance, it seems like any old jungle island, but there's definitely more to it after looking around. This Minecraft seed tells a bit of a story. This ship crashed into an iceberg Titanic style. It's right next to an island. You've already built an igloo here. So that's where we are at this point in the story. There are plenty of trees for you on the island. There's a trial chamber underground. So what's your plan to continue on the story of this island? I'm just going to show a mansion village seed, and I'm pretty excited to show this one. I do show them quite a bit, but here is one more. And this right here is the reason why I wanted to share this one. I mean, the farm being on top of the roof of the mansion just looks so cool. But watch this. If I break into the ceiling here, there's actually 2 chests in the ceiling portion for some loot. And then another 2 chests breaking through here, right underneath the farm. So that's 4 chests of loot for you to grab if you want. This building generates on the side of the mansion, as does this building. These 2 buildings generate inside of the mansion, as does this animal pen, and this building, and this meeting point. And you'll find paths throughout the mansion, like this mess in an arena room. So yeah, there's a mansion village seed to end things off. This seed is just really awesome. We get a pretty decently sized island here with a blacksmith village on it. That alone is just really cool. Adding in the fact that there's a shipwreck that looks like it crashed right onto the edge of the island is just incredible. And there's another full shipwreck right over here. And then there's this cave opening that goes all the way down to Deep Slate. I guess I'll say that if you're looking for some loot at spawn, this seed has plenty of structures to check out. This seed was originally posted to Reddit by Pacer Graham Fitness Test. The spawn is in this plains biome, and there's some mountains around too with both jagged and frozen peaks. This little lake area is pretty nice too. This dripstone cave looks pretty cool. And of course, we have the village too. The village buildings put into perspective how tall the mountains are. This is just a really nice spawn area. I have a village right near a jungle here. I think this plains area that the village is in is a decent place to spawn. The rivers and trees surrounding it make it a pretty great place to build. There's a cool crater here, and over here is a ravine that leads to a big dripstone cave. The spawn village is pretty decent. There's a nice variety of buildings in it, including a blacksmith and church right next to each other. There's also a jungle temple here. It would have been really cool if the temple was flipped around, so this path led to the entrance. Regardless, inside there's some paths that block the bottom of the temple where you can find 2 chests. So yeah, that's a pretty awesome jungle temple village seed. And here is a classic Minecraft survival island seed. Easily one of my favorite Minecraft seeds to discover, despite it being more difficult as time goes on. Minecraft survival islands have a special place in my nostalgic heart, I guess. This one sticks out of the water about 4 blocks higher than the water level. It has 3 trees in both Java and Bedrock Edition. It comes with bits of sand and some grass for wheat. Just a classic survival island Minecraft seed. This seed has some mesa mountains that are trying to form a ring formation, but can't quite get it done. That's because at the end of the mountain section, there's an ocean, and cliffs form. You can see there are more cliffs over there too. The view from out here looks really awesome with the Mesa Mountains as a backdrop. Just a really cool thing to see. Later this week I'll have a Cherry Grove Seeds video, but why not get a head start on it? Cherry groves are one of my favorite biomes, so I have no problem with doing searches for cherry grove seeds. This seed has a cherry grove on the edge of frozen peaks. It creates a really cool looking spawn area. Definitely a nice area to get some cool shots for this video. Cherry groves and mountains is just one of the best terrain combinations in Minecraft. The mountains almost form a ring, but this spot doesn't connect. The plains biome does rise up to create a ring of elevated terrain though. Of course, there's a village here too. It's not really the most exciting village, it's pretty small, but it does look pretty cool on the mountainside. Right underneath the village, there's a spider spawner. It's actually exposed to the surface. Pretty cool having such easy access to it. I'm not going to feature them, but I wanted to mention that underneath the spawn area there are plenty of ancient cities, including 3 underneath the spawn mountains. I do want to feature this area though. This pillager outpost on the edge of the jagged peaks looks really cool, and the forest area down below could be a really awesome place to build with the mountains providing a lot of natural scenery. So that's a Cherry Grove spawn seed. Be on the lookout for a video with more Cherry Grove seeds later this week. This comment mentioned wanting to see a triple plains village seed. I think I found that and more. You can see on the map that we spawn in a village with 2 more villages on the side. The spawn village is pretty big. It has 16 buildings, including an armory, a library, a mason's house, and a blacksmith. There's a lava pool in the middle of the village, so the tree is likely to burn down if you don't deal with it or have fire spread off. The second village is super close to the spawn village. It's about 15 blocks away, which is nothing. The village is a bit smaller with 11 buildings and a farm. It includes 2 of the newer church buildings and a Fletcher's house. There is a little ravine here next to the village, and another ravine here that leads down to a deep slate cave. Across this river there is another ravine cave opening. This one has a mine shaft in it. It looks really cool. It's a pretty fun place to explore near spawn. I just want to mention that the cave at the bottom of the ravine is pretty big too. The third spawn village is towards the northeast. It's just across the river from the village we spawn in. It's on a hill and is much more compact than the other 2 villages. It has 9 buildings and a farm. That includes a tannery and a library. The village hill generates with this big cave opening thing. Some of the village path goes down here. There's also a lava pool here. Just north of the village is a ruined portal. It's far enough away that I wouldn't quite consider this a ruined portal village. It does add 1 more structure at spawn though, so that's cool. There are a couple places outside of spawn that I want to show, starting with this area. There's a mountain, a cherry grove, and some frozen ocean. There's a tiny section of ice spikes here. A pillager outpost tower generates on the mountainside here. It looks pretty cool. And right here, there's a village. It has some crazy terrain with it being on the edge of a hill. I like this spot in the river. And finally, I just want to mention that there are 4 other villages in the spawn plains biome that haven't been seen yet. Well, actually, if I zoom out in the map, the plains biome is huge, so there's even more, but let's keep it within 1500 blocks or so. On screen, you can see the coordinates to the 4 villages I'm referring to. This is my favorite village of the 4. It has 3 churches, a floating farm, and a big ravine. So yeah, I showed a lot here, but remember, this all started with a triple village at spawn. This seed has a spawn inside of a village, and with the winter drop, it's right next to a pale garden too. We can see the entire pale garden here. It's pretty cool seeing the pale oak trees near the village buildings. I like how this animal pen is in the pale garden too. And I like that we get a blacksmith at spawn too. One thing I'll never complain about in Minecraft, no matter how many updates we get, is a seed that has a spawn inside of a blacksmith village. I should also mention that the spawn meadow is a fantastic place to build too. I think meadows are an underrated biome to build in. People often choose plains, but the meadow is just basically an elevated version of the plains, and the grass color and the flowers look really great. This really is a fantastic pale garden village seed. Lush Cave Cliff Islands are some of my favorite Minecraft seeds. They always just look incredible. I'm just always amazed by how cool these are. They'll never get old to me. This one isn't the most isolated island, there's some land pretty close by, but this side with the colors of the mesa going down the side, this side with bits of Lush Cave, and this side with that big Lush Cave opening, all just makes this seed worth seeing. It's just really cool. What's better than 1 blacksmith building? 2 blacksmith buildings. What's better than 2 blacksmith buildings? 3 blacksmith buildings. And what's better than 3 blacksmith buildings? 4 blacksmith buildings. That's right, this village has 4 blacksmith buildings. Here's the loot in the first one. Here's the loot in the second one. Here's the loot in the third one. And here's the loot in the fourth one. This is just a pretty stacked village to start off with. Just awesome. This is one of those Minecraft seeds I wish existed in real life. The terrain is just absolutely beautiful. The spawn is in the Stony Peaks Mountains with a forest below them and a lake at the bottom. Just an absolutely stunning location. This section of mountains generates a bit hollow with a big cave, and it doesn't get any worse outside of the mountains either. There's a mesa biome with some really awesome peaks, and there's this cliff area. These cliffs just look incredible. This area with a lush cave is fantastic, And there's a shipwreck above water here too. Actually, it's not really even a shipwreck since it's basically fully above water. It's just a ship out in the water with absolutely amazing scenery behind it. This seed has incredible terrain and it all starts off right at spawn. I found this pretty interesting island seed. It's clearly a desert island, but it also has a village on it and a desert temple too. Desert village islands are probably the type I look for least, but I do think this one is really awesome with the desert temple here, especially for the loot at the bottom. Now, obviously the easiest way to go about this is to just go to the mainland. That's about 500 and 900 blocks away in each direction. But if you want to limit yourself to just the island in the ocean, well, you can get dirt, crops, and the composter from the village farms already here. And there's an azalea tree northwest of the island that can be harvested too. Of course, you get these shipwrecks throughout the ocean you can check out too, and there's always kelp and fish too. And that's not even mentioning villager trading and whatnot. There are definitely plenty of ways to play on this seed. Regardless of what you choose to do, spawning on a desert temple in Village Island is pretty cool. I've shared so many videos with survival island seeds, and over that time, shipwreck islands have become a personal favorite of mine. It just makes it so that you can load into a Minecraft world and feel like you have a theme or something. The shipwreck makes it feel like you crashed and got stuck on a deserted island. And looking around and seeing only ocean around really solidifies that feeling. I'll also say that I really like that this is a dark forest biome too. It gives a few different tree types and some giant mushrooms too. Plus it just has a different vibe than being like a typical plains island or something. So if you're looking to play Minecraft survival while stranded on an island, this is a great seed to do so. And if you're looking for more seeds for a variety of survival islands, check out my recent video with 25 survival island seeds. This is a classic spawn village seed, just a village in a big plains biome. When I search for plains village seeds, I usually look for them within big plains biomes, so there's plenty of space to build. This village has a library, 2 tanneries, and a blacksmith. It's also next to this cave thing here with a section of water. It leads to an open zombie spawner dungeon. How cool is that? Access to a zombie spawner near the surface is pretty awesome. Sections of dripstone caves are also formed at the bottom here. There's another dripstone cave opening here too. If you dig straight down near this lamppost, you'll eventually fall into this trial chamber room. This is the first chamber that has a ceiling entrance room. It has staircases with a few chests along the way that eventually leads down to this atrium. Let me show you the trial chamber from the outside. So that's a spawn village seed and a spawn trial chamber seed. The villages in this seed are not really the reason I want to show it, but that's alright, let me quickly talk about them anyway. Near the spawn swamp and mangrove swamp, we have this savanna village. I always think it's cool seeing village buildings in a mangrove swamp. Just southwest, we have a plains village. There are a couple ravines near the village, with this opening leading to a massive cave. Speaking of which, over near this water spot, there's an opening to a huge cave too, so that's pretty cool. But now let's get to why I really wanted to show this seed. Going west from the plains village will lead you to this tall woodland mansion. It generates this way because of a windswept savanna. I've been enjoying finding tall woodland mansions lately. This one isn't the tallest I've found, with it being at Y level 181, but it still looks really awesome. So between the spawn villages, the caves, the tall mansion, I think there's really a lot to explore in this one. Jumping into the seed, I was focused on the mountains, but I quickly realized this is a great building seed. There's a nice plains area to build, and the mountains provided some great natural scenery to the area. And this water area could be a great feature for a build too. But let me get back to why I wanted to show this seed originally. There's a circular mountain range right next to the spawn point, and in the middle is a cherry grove and a village. I get excited enough as it is to find cherry grove villages, but to put it in the middle of a mountain ring really increases that excitement. I love seeing villages generate with the pink petals around them. The mountain backdrop just makes it even more scenic. The village itself isn't that spectacular. It generates with a mason's house and a bunch of regular houses, but that doesn't really matter because we're just here for the scenery of this place. Mountains naturally have a lot of cave entrances and ravines, but I wanted to point out this one specifically. It's a big drop that leads down to a dripstone cave area. There are a few ways you can go, but if you keep going down, it will eventually lead all the way down to the deep dark. And if you take a specific path through the caves, you'll head right to an ancient city. Maybe not a place you want to go right when you start off your world, but it's awesome knowing this is super close to the spawn of this seed. If I go back above ground now, just northwest of spawn, there's another cherry grove village area. This is just a little tiny cherry grove biome, but I think this little cave type area is pretty cool. I can imagine a base being built here. The village itself is pretty great, with 2 blacksmiths, a church, a library, an armorer, and 2 toolsmiths. This plains continues as a great place for a spawn area build, especially with this ocean here. And there's more cherry grove over there. But of course, that cherry grove within a circular mountain range next to spawn is the biggest reason to try out the seed. A ship crashed into this Minecraft island. Over time, it has been buried a bit by the beach sand. The island is made up of plains, beach, stony shores, and a small forest. The shipwreck gives a feeling of being stranded on the island. So, what's your plan for living on this island? This is a pretty cool Minecraft village seed. I mean, it really just looks like a regular spawn village in a big plains biome. Well, there is a pillager outpost on the other side of a lake I can see too. But check this out. This opening leads right to a mine shaft with a village well next to it. I mean, this just looks really cool. Definitely one of the more unique places I've ever seen a village well. I don't know, just thought it was a pretty interesting thing to find at spawn. 2 of my favorite things to find in Minecraft are tall mansions and islands. I also like to combine that search from time to time, so that's what you're seeing now. The island is made up of a dark forest, a birch forest, and a tiny grove biome. The cliffs look pretty cool, and of course we've got that decently tall mansion. Pretty cool. This is a modern classic survival island seed, a classic survival island that you're used to seeing, except instead of a beach it has stony shores. I found a lot of small islands for this video. My refined search conditions for Cubiomes Viewer are working really well, pretty much exactly the types of islands I've always been wanting to find in Minecraft, so I'm happy about that. That's a small modern classic survival island in a big ocean biome. This is a cliff island seed, one of my favorite types of seeds to find. The island is split between a dark forest and jagged peaks biome. The lush cave on this one looks pretty wild. I mean, just some crazy looking terrain on this side of the island. I'm not sure how practical this would be to play survival on, but how would you approach that? Like, what would you build on the island? What approach would you take to surviving it be? I just thought it looked pretty cool, so I wanted to share it. I also just wanted to say that in the ocean, there's a spot with a ruined portal, shipwreck, and ocean monument all in the same spot, yet at the same time, they managed not to conflict with each other. A cool place to check out. And there's also a mushroom island not too far away from spawn. I like to know how close mushroom islands are in the ocean. Just nice knowing I don't have to travel far to find one. But yeah, there's a pretty awesome cliff island seed. The mountains at the spawn of this seed look really awesome. Just some really beautiful looking Minecraft terrain. And look where this big hole in the mountain leads to. Yeah, a mountain circle area with a woodland mansion and a village. One of the village buildings is up here at the top of the mountains. There's also a building inside of the mansion here. This piece of the village path can be found on the 2nd floor. These pieces of terrain in the mansion are because the mansion is partly covered by the mountains. It's always cool when a mansion generates like this. The mansion has some alleys and a hidden spider spawner. This is just a really cool area. This looks really cool. Typically when I find little cliff islands, they aren't plains, so this is pretty interesting. The village in the ocean looks pretty cool, as does this floating terrain and whatever you call this. And I really like the little dark cave area things on the cliffs too. Just a really cool place to spawn into a world. I'll never get tired of sharing mountain seeds in Minecraft. They really are just fantastic parts of Minecraft terrain. In this case, we get the jagged peaks forming a bit of a ring at spawn with the roofed forest in the middle and a little pond too. Bodies of water like this can be great natural additions to builds. Outside of this area, we can see some other types of mountains and even some lush cave poking through. You can see that in the spawn mountains too. Just some really nice terrain. Recently, I've been doing a lot of searching for mountain circle seeds with lakes in the middle, but my favorite one I've found so far doesn't actually have a lake. Instead, it's this cherry grove surrounded by mountains. It really is a cool look to see the pink trees surrounded by mountains. This could absolutely be a great seed to play on. But this right here is why I really like this seed. This hole in the ground leads all the way down to an ancient city. I mean, how awesome is that? That's not something you see in every seed, let alone right at spawn. Just such a cool thing to come across. The spawn area is really awesome, but outside of it is too. We've got more mountains and more mountains. And then on the edge of the spawn mountains, there is this cave opening. It's a dripstone cave and it has some really awesome looking pillars holding it up. Then we have this village in a valley between two mountain ranges. It partly generates within a cherry grove biome. Definitely a really cool place for this village to generate. Continuing on, we find this pillager outpost. Along with a tower, it generates with a couple tents, an empty cage, a set of pumpkin scarecrow targets, and a log collection. And right next to the outpost is this big ruined portal. It generates in a sparse jungle, and it really has a nice view of the spawn mountains from here. And this is the last location I wanted to show in this seed. It's a meadow ruined portal village. This is a great village. Along with the ruined portal, it has 3 churches or temples, a toolsmith, and a blacksmith. This is just a really awesome Minecraft seed, and it all starts off with that beautiful cherry grove with a mountain circle at spawn. Cliff islands are always cool, but this one is a bit different. There's a huge cave at the bottom. The island looks like it's being held up by these natural stone pillars. Somebody out there, who's a lot better at building in Minecraft, could probably come up with a way to implement this into a build. Do you have any ideas on what could be built around this island and cave? What better way to see the new Minecraft Pale Garden biome than it being surrounded by mountains? We get this big Frozen Peaks mountain range with the Pale Garden stretching through the middle. The map gives a good look at the mountains forming a circular area with the gray section of the Pale Garden in the middle. I mean, this is just a really awesome looking Minecraft seed. The gray color of the Pale Garden is a bit boring and dull looking by default, but the mountains add some great beauty to it. The pieces of lush cave around the mountains help out too. This one leads down to this huge lush cave too, and this cave just looks incredible. This spot mixing with lush and dripstone caves is just awesome. This is just a really great Minecraft seed. The mountains in this seed are really tall. The jagged peaks up here cap off at the generation height limit. You can see how they sort of flatten out at the top. Down at the bottom, the village looks so small in comparison. The village church generates surrounded by dripstone. This looks really cool. I can imagine how awesome a spawn build would be in this plains with the mountains as a background. One last thing, this valley between the mountains is just awesome. Such a fun area to travel through. This is just a fantastic Minecraft seed. This Minecraft seed generates with twin islands at spawn. The islands are split with a stream of water between them. The spawn island has a bit of a small section of forest and then a bigger section of stony shores. The other island has a bigger section of forest and stony shores too. Just a really cool Minecraft seed with a lot of potential for builds, playing on with friends or whatever you choose to use it for. Let me know which of the islands would you prefer to claim as yours. This seed has a spawn inside of a pretty big plains biome. There's a small cherry grove biome and some different mountain areas around too. There's a ruined portal village here too. These always look pretty awesome. There's another village right over there. But none of this is why I want to show this seed. Underneath all of that stuff at spawn, there's a lot to check out. We have this ancient city here, and as you can see, there's a mine shaft that is in the same spot too. We even have some dripstone cave areas down here too. I really like how the mineshaft and ancient city generate near each other at the city center. And that same city center has this deep slate and tuff around it because that's where the trial chamber generates. You can even see a little bit of it here. We can even see spots of the outside of the trial chamber poking through the mineshaft here. And you may have just noticed the final spot that I want to show you. Honestly, one of the coolest spawner dungeons I've seen. Oh, and by the way, this ancient city, yeah, it's a double ancient city. So these two structures are next to each other above ground. And below ground, there's a lot of structures around each other too. Finding Minecraft islands with two different structures is always fun, but it can be a bit time consuming. I'm also a bit of a perfectionist, so I look for really specific things when seed searching too, so that probably doesn't help with the time aspect. I think it's pretty cool that this island is divided between 4 biomes. We get the taiga, dark forest, beach, and an old growth birch forest. If you don't want all the trees to burn, you may want to deal with this lava pool pretty quickly. Of course, we also get this little village, just a small taiga village with only 5 buildings. And then there's the woodland mansion too. For some reason, I always like the look of these generating in water, and I always think it's pretty funny how they make village buildings look so small in comparison. I think everything that I just mentioned makes this a really cool Minecraft island.
There are times that seeds I come across on Reddit or other places just stand out in a way that makes me know I just need to share them in a video. I just need to, give the seed a bit more exposure as it deserves it. This one here was found by Lord Onyx, and they described it as a new national park. The spawn of this seed is on a pretty big island, and it's actually right inside of a double village. They look like they connect, but you can see on the map here that it's actually 2 villages. If you want a bit of game starting loot, be sure to check out this blacksmith building. To the west of the spawn island, there's a mushroom island, so that's an awesome thing to have so close to spawn. Always fun to find a rare biome. Directly north of spawn, there's this stronghold. It's got this really cool geode library location that also connects to a mineshaft. In the 1.21 experimental update pack, there's actually a trial chamber here too. I provided you with the coordinates to the portal room of the stronghold. Before going to the main feature of this seed, the Reddit post mentioned 2 mainland locations to check out. The first being this mansion to the southwest. On the top floor of the mansion, there's this hidden room. It has some loot in the ceiling with 2 chests, which both contain a Vex trim. The other place to check out is an oceanside village. It's actually floating on top of an ocean monument. A pretty cool location for sure, and it's another place in the experimental pack that has a trial chamber. And finally, the last place is a bit of a travel, but it's absolutely beautiful. This is one of those pieces of Minecraft terrain that is just stunning to look at. The lake surrounded by the trees in the elevated terrain. There's only so many words to describe how awesome this looks. People who appreciate Minecraft terrain like I do know exactly what I mean. But it gets even better when you learn that parts of the mountain are pretty much hollow due to the massive caves, like this spot here with a split dripstone and lush cave. Split caves like this always look awesome. The mix of the 2 cave types just looks really cool. This one being so close to the surface makes it even more awesome. Just such a cool area. And then over here on the other side of the hills is another crazy dripstone cave. This cavern is just absolutely massive, and there's a mine shaft in here too. And it's another place in 1.21 with a chamber. So all in all, this seed is just incredible. Starting off with a double village, leading you to find a beautiful lake area with one of the coolest caves I've ever seen. Just such an incredible Minecraft seed.
Seeds with multiple structures at spawn are always fun to find. This one has a jungle temple and a mansion conflicting with each other. The mansion actually prevents the temple from completely generating. The bottom floor is still intact, which means 2 chests inside as usual. Throughout the mansion, we can see vines from the jungle. On the bottom floor, I found some alleys. On the middle floor, some terrain is generated. I found an arena room too. And there's another arena room on the top floor. Underneath these spawn structures, there are trial chambers. In fact, they're lush cave trial chambers. The lush cave being here just makes it look incredible, just adds something extra to the rooms that make them feel a bit different. Like I said, finding seeds with multiple structures at spawn is always fun. I loaded into this world in this cave area near this village mason's house. But the village arguably gets even better than this cave building when we leave this area. Not only do we get this blacksmith, church, library, armorer, and these 2 Fletchers in the village, but there's a shipwreck that generates here too. I mean, this is just really awesome. An oceanside village with a cave building apparently, enhanced with a shipwreck. I like it, it's pretty cool. In this seed, we spawn in a forest biome that's on the edge of a meadow. There's a ravine thing right here. Over there, there's a plains biome and a big flower forest. There's a village right there, and over there, there's a village and a mansion in the distance, but we'll get to that in a second. First, I want to mention that underground, there's a trial chamber. I guess it's not surprising that I'd want to show trial chambers since it's the main feature of the 1.21 update. It's just nice knowing this one is under the spawn area. Now let's go over to the mansion and village, but first I need to stop here. I mean, this is just such an awesome looking area. The pillars look really cool, and the fact that there's a lush cave, dripstone cave, and deep dark at the bottom is just incredible. I love finding spots like this in Minecraft. The village and mansion area just looks awesome. The mansion generating into the mountains looks really cool. I like the village generating up the mountainside too. The spawn of this seed actually is in a snowy village, and there's some ice spikes over there, but neither of those are why I'm showing this seed. Northeast, there's a big frozen lake with a village generating on top of it. There's an igloo here too. I just think frozen lakes look really cool in Minecraft. This one is just huge too. This just looks really cool. Let's just show a basic seed now. Nothing crazy going on at all. We just spawn in this plains biome. There's a forest hill over there, and a flower forest hill over there. There's a ravine thing here. There's a village there, and I can barely see a zombie village in the distance over there. But digging down at the 00 spawn point will bring us to a trial chamber. This isn't the entrance room though. This right here is. I really like how walking out of the entrance room and walking into the atrium makes you feel like you're approaching something exciting. Mojang did a good job at making this place feel important. Let's take a look at the entire trial chamber now. Did you happen to see that zombie spawner I went past? This door right here has a hallway and staircase that maybe was meant to lead to a chest, but a zombie spawner generated instead. Just a really cool spot. This is a cool spot right here too with the geode. We're going to be able to discover a lot of cool spots with trial chambers as we continue seed searching in this version. Above ground is just a normal Minecraft seed, but below ground we have Minecraft's newest feature. There's plenty to like at the spawn of this seed. Of course, that includes the Cherry Grove and mountains. Just such beautiful scenery right at spawn. There's a village right here too, so that's pretty cool. And if you don't feel like building near the mountains in Cherry Grove, this plains area is a decent location too. Cliff Islands are even better when they have a village on them. I think the only thing I like better than a Cliff Island village is when Cliff Islands have caves on the side of them. This one is a Savannah Island. We get the typical paths going down the cliffside, we get the waterfalls from the farm water, and of course the village down in the ocean at the bottom too. There's also this shipwreck over here on this little island. Looks pretty cool being above water like it is. Just a really cool Minecraft seed. The terrain around spawn in this seed is just absolutely incredible. We've got mountains, lots of different forest types, and cliffs. And the terrain causes this to happen too. This really does look awesome. That's really all that needs to be said, but let me explain further. The outpost generates with the tower, a log collection, an iron golem cage, 3 sets of pumpkin scarecrow targets, and a couple of alley cages. Speaking of which, this ocean ruin generates conflicting with one of the alley cages. It causes the mobs to be stuck a bit, and for a chest to be inside of the cage. Then that shipwreck really just completes this area. A nice full shipwreck floating out of the ocean on the side of a cliff is just really cool. Pairing it in with the other 2 structures just makes it fantastic. The terrain alone is worth a look at this seed, but the structures make it even better. I found a Minecraft island with 3 villages on it. The island is a bit long, so it's a bit difficult for me to show it with a Java Edition render distance, but I can go on to Bedrock Edition with a higher render distance so we can see the full island and see it just has 1 village on this version. Even easier, here's a look at the map where we can see villages on the top, middle, and bottom of the island. The spawn is closest to the southernmost village. It's just a typical oceanside village with a shipwreck nearby. And then we can travel to the middle of the island where we have the second village. This one has a blacksmith and a mason, and this one is next to a shipwreck too. And finally, we can go over to the third village, which is at the northernmost point of the island. Again, another pretty typical looking oceanside village, though it does have 4 masons. There's a frozen ocean over there and a mushroom island over there. So yeah, that's a Minecraft village with 3 islands on, or the other way around, yeah, 3 villages on an island. You can make most Minecraft seeds work in survival, really, but most of the seeds I find aren't necessarily the most survival-friendly spawn seeds, if that makes sense. They're just cool pieces of Minecraft world generation. This is one of those types of seeds. I mean, just look at this. Not only do we get an outpost on the cliffs, but the cliffs generate a huge cave opening. There's a shipwreck at the bottom, there's a frozen ocean, there's mountains in the background, and did you notice there's an igloo here too? As a reminder, I'm recording this on Java Edition, so all structures that are not trial chambers likely won't be there on Bedrock Edition. The pillager outpost generates as a tower by itself, no cages or anything like that. The shipwreck is jammed between an iceberg and the cliffs. The treasure map chest is exposed in the open. This chest is super easy to access too. And then the chest with oars you can swim to. The cave is just huge. Over near the lava fall, it goes down to the deep dark. And then we have that igloo facing the frozen ocean on the cliffside. The igloo basement is actually exposed here. You can transform the zombie villager into a normal villager in the basement if you want. So yeah, not the most survival friendly for building and stuff, but I'm sure you can make it work. This island has a village stretching across it. I mean, I show a decent amount of island villages, so that's nothing too special. I do like that the island has a lot of space on it though, so that's nice. But the reason I really like this seed is because the village has 3 church buildings. There's a blacksmith too, so that's just a really great village. The fact that it's on an island is even better. There's another island close by with a ruined portal on it too, so that makes the seed even better. Just a really great Minecraft island seed. This is one of my favorite Minecraft seeds I've found in a long time. The spawn is in these frozen peaks mountains with this woodland mansion. And this right here just looks incredible. The mansion stretches about 120 blocks tall. Just a crazy area with this dripstone cave and even some deep dark area too. Speaking of which, there are plenty of really cool dripstone and deep dark caves to explore underground too. This one here is probably my favorite with the lava lake at the bottom. And just outside of the spawn area, we can find some really cool valleys between mountain ranges. This seed is just really cool. Having this at spawn is just incredible. Cliff islands always look awesome. They're some of my favorite types of seeds to do searches for just because they look really cool. This one is a dark forest island. This side has some shorter cliffs as the stony peak shores go up progressively, as opposed to just steep cliffs. Every other side just has tall cliffs. We get pieces of lush cave on the cliffs. I like the look of the waterfall going down this cliffside. I like how this spot looks right here. Cliff island seeds are always just really cool. This Minecraft seed just looks really cool. The spawn is in these mountains. There's a taiga biome below. That's where the taiga village generates. And then it goes down the cliffside. A shipwreck generates in the same spot as this tiny house. The huge cave opening on the cliffside looks awesome, especially with the lush cave towards the back. So everything combined, the mountains, the building on top of the cliffs, the buildings in the ocean with the shipwreck, the cliffside cave, it all combines to make a really cool looking area. Seeds like this are really cool. Just a castaway, deserted island type feel. You can give some type of backstory to how this shipwreck ended up here and how you got stranded on the island or something. Just adds a different feeling to a typical survival island type playthrough. And that stranded island feeling is why I say that I think seeds like this are really cool. I've been kind of obsessed with lake village seeds lately. I don't know, I just think lakes are really great to build around, and adding a village on top is just really awesome. The village feels like a fishing town or something. This little spot of water here is ocean, but you can see it drops off into a big lake. The lake will be plains, flower forest, or whatever other biomes surround it. You can see there's a lot of biomes and stuff to explore around spawn, including that village off in the distance and that Cherry Grove outpost. There's also another village on this hillside near the lake, so having this so close to spawn is pretty convenient. I mean, yeah, lake villages are just really cool, and I think I'm gonna keep finding more. This is just one of those Minecraft seeds that looks crazy. I mean, this is just very picturesque. The tall mansion is just one part of how awesome this seed is too. The lush cave cliffs next to it look gorgeous, but those mountains in the background really just cap off the whole area. I also just need to mention how cool this spot in the mountains looks too. Just an absolutely incredible looking area. I finally found a classic one tree survival island seed for modern Minecraft Java Edition versions. Lately, every time I find a small island like this, it has multiple trees or no trees. For example, on Bedrock Edition, this island has multiple trees, which shows you what I keep finding on Java Edition too. This island isn't perfect. There's no grass for seeds, for example. So my search for the classic survival island will continue, but this one is pretty great. The grass section is a forest biome, the stone section is windswept gravelly hills. The sugarcane next to the tree is convenient. There's an ocean monument in the distance and another one over there. And there's lots of kelp throughout the ocean. So this isn't the perfect survival island seed I've been looking for, but it's pretty close. There's really not a whole lot I want or need to say about this seed. Pretty much just that there's two mountain circles that spawn connected to each other. We have this smaller one that I spawned at with a mini forest in the middle, and we have this one with a big meadow area in the middle. They're connected by this little spot here. The jagged peaks are really pointy. And if you don't have any plans for the mountains, there's a plains with a blacksmith village down there. Not sure why you would choose this seed if you don't want the mountains, but I figured I'd mention this anyway. But yeah, these double mountain circles are pretty cool, I think. This is easily one of my favorite seeds in this video. It just looks so cool. It's a dark forest island that kind of progressively elevates higher. And this side has some cliffs with lush cave sections mixed in. So this side looks pretty awesome too. The mansion is kind of just nestled into the bottom of the island. It kind of just looks like it belongs there. It looks pretty cool. And then this is underneath the island. Ancient cities are great. Lush ancient cities are even better. It's just neat knowing this is under the island. And all of that is why this is one of my favorite seeds in this video. I really like this Minecraft seed for a couple of reasons. First, of course, being the tall, jagged peaks mountain circle. These locations always make for a great natural location to build at spawn. In this case, you'd build in a meadow biome that's in the middle. Some of the peaks are really tall too, with this one stretching up towards the generation height limit. There's also some really cool dripstone spots around too. Then we have the village at spawn too. And this is actually a double blacksmith village. So double the chance at blacksmith loot. And this one generates tucked into the terrain too. So that's why I like this seed. What do you think of it? The look of these lush cave cliff seeds always amazed me. Years ago, I would have never expected to see something like this in Minecraft generate naturally. But here we are, and I'm not complaining. This island is actually kind of split in two. I always like finding wooded badland islands. Adding cliffs makes them even better, and adding lush caves definitely makes them better. This seed has a lot of mountains around the spawn area. Take a look at this map to see for yourself. It all starts with a big frozen peaks biome, and then the rest of the mountains around the area just add to the greatness. It creates incredible valleys, awesome caves, and just beautiful scenery. Just a fantastic mountain seed. What's one way to make a ruined portal village island even better? Well, make it a cliff island. I mean, this just looks incredible. I actually think the side where you can't see the ruined portal looks even cooler. This tall, flat section in the middle with the library building on top just looks awesome. And this part of the village in the water looks cool too. I really like how this mason generates. There's plenty of space on top of the island to build, and obviously the ruined portal and village are useful. This little ravine type area here looks kinda cool, and this cave opening goes down to Deep Slate. So that's a ruined portal village cliff island. Just really cool. This seed isn't meant to be one that you play survival on or anything like that. It's sometimes just fun to discover some cool or weird Minecraft seeds. And well, this is one of them. It's just a pillager outpost on a tiny island. I'm sure somebody could figure something out, but if I loaded into this seed randomly, I'd quickly say nope and start up a different world. This seed is even wilder when you realize there's an ocean monument right off the island. It's only 70-ish blocks from the outpost island. And then there's that small mushroom island over there too. So yeah, there's that one. This comment asked if I could find a coastal village that's also near a forest. So I loaded up Cubomb's viewer, I added a spawn village. Then I added a forest that's within 250 blocks of spawn. And I added a shipwreck within 100 blocks so an ocean would generate. I looked through some of the seeds I got and I decided to show this one. We have the coastal village here, over there is some forest, and over there is a nice big forest. Some of the village generates in the ocean, and the shipwreck I added actually generates connected to a building. There's one church and one more church, and there's a blacksmith. Not sure if that's what the commenter had in mind, but I like it. This is a really cool Minecraft seed. We spawn in this blacksmith village, and it has some villager variety with buildings like a library and a mason's house. There's also a ruined portal right outside of the village, and around the spawn village you can find a frozen ocean, some ice bikes, and another blacksmith village towards the north. And then of course, there's that tall woodland mansion. Certainly not the tallest I've seen at only Y level 155, but I mean, it does look really cool. Seeing it still make the village buildings look small from a few hundred blocks away really shows how tall it is. I mean, I think it just looks really awesome. This seed has some cliffs with openings leading to huge caves. The caves almost make the island seem hollow. The caves even extend from one side of the island to the other. If I light up the cave a bit, you can see how big it is. The cave goes down to the deep dark. This spot looks really cool. I really can't get over how incredible these cliffs look. Such a cool seed. You know, sometimes I see a Minecraft seed shared on Reddit that I know I need to share. And as you probably could have guessed, this is one of those. Found by Solo Experiencer, they described this as the perfect beginner's spawn. So the post shares a few locations and it starts with the spawn area. They described it as gentle hills rolling towards the sandy beach. And yeah, it's just a nice big plains biome with a ton of building space. The post also mentioned that there's a massive flower forest and sunflower plains nearby too. This adds some nice scenery to the area and gives you quick access to both trees and flowers. There's also a village pretty close to spawn. As said in the post, it's just a short walk away. The village has a blacksmith and it generates over some caves, which the post also references as the seed having plenty of for those who aren't a fan of digging. And finally, there's also an exposed zombie dungeon next to spawn too. This is awfully convenient, just in a great location. I really don't see many of these in modern Minecraft either, or at least I don't notice them as often. The seed really has a vibe of an old-timey Minecraft seed. I really like seeds that feel like an older version of Minecraft. The post claimed this as a perfect beginner spawn, and I'd have to agree. It's about as perfect of a seed to start a survival world on as possible in my opinion, especially for a Minecraft beginner. This is a Cliff Island seed. Since the changes to Minecraft terrain in the Caves and Cliffs update, Cliff Islands have always been a standout type of seed. The island is divided between a small jungle, a super tiny section of jagged peaks, and a dark forest. There are pieces of lush cave on the cliffside. This spot here with the island being held up by a natural pillar looks pretty cool. The jungle going down the cliffside looks cool too. I guess I could say the same about these mushrooms on the cliffside too. I also like this spot that sticks up with the jungle tree at the top. Now, that brings me to my question. If you were to limit yourself to staying solely on this island, what would you build here? I think a Dunkin' Donuts would be perfect here. This is just a cool Minecraft seed. I've shared cherry grove circles with lakes at the bottom, but this one has a village on the lake. My only complaint is that the village and lake are in the middle of the circle. I'll work on finding one of those in the future, but cherry grove circles at spawn are difficult enough to find, so this will have to do for now. This dripstone and animal pen spot in the village is my favorite area, and a blacksmith is right underneath it. I always like the look of villages generating on top of water. Add a circle of elevated cherry grove around it and it becomes even better. Just a cool Minecraft seed. One of my favorite seeds I've ever discovered gets even better in Minecraft 1.21. Like a few others today, I realized this one has a trial chamber under it while going through my old seeds. I discovered this back in November of 2022. It combines two really awesome types of islands, a cliff island and an island village. The village stretches from the top of the cliff island down to the ocean. This building generates right next to a small spot of lush cave generation, and below this big cave which is about half lush cave, but isn't lit up at all. This one path generates on the other side of the island too. This is really random, but I think the forest rocks generating on the side of the island look pretty cool. Below where the village jets out into the ocean, there's a trial chamber. One of my favorite small trial chamber details is the blocks around the trial spawners. Like this one with the bone block podzol and mushrooms indicates a bogged trial spawner. Check out the entrance of this trial chamber with the cactus tree covered in skulk veins. And being within the deep dark, there are multiple rooms covered in skulk. This is probably the coolest trial chamber room I've seen yet with both lush cave and deep dark. Here's a look at this pretty big trial chamber. You may have noticed an ancient city here. I didn't notice any spots of trial chamber poking through the ancient city, but this is a lush cave ancient city, so that's pretty awesome. So this was already one of my favorite Minecraft islands I've ever found, but this trial chamber makes it just so much better. The spawn of this seed is in a wooded badlands biome. Looking to the west, we can see an ocean with a coral reef, and looking to the south, we can see some cliffs. If we climb up the wooded badlands, we will quickly find out there's a lot going on here. We get a village on the edge of the mesa cliffs and a shipwreck at the bottom too. The shipwreck conflicting with the building is pretty cool, and really, the whole spot looks pretty cool. It's just one of those types of Minecraft seeds I love to find. I like having a coral reef right next to the village in the water. I often overlook how much coral reefs can add to an area. Up top, there's this little ravine type thing with the village going through it. The terrain at the end of the area looks pretty interesting. There's also a Badlands mine shaft here too. As if this spot wasn't crazy enough, we get one more structure to explore. There's a lot going on at the spawn in this seed for sure. The spawn of this Minecraft seed is in a cherry grove circle. Usually when I find or show these, the spawn is right outside of the circle, so it's pretty cool spawning here. There's the sunflower plains in the middle and a village too. Just ignore the mess that these paths have made here. Cherry grove circles always look cool. Adding in the sunflowers and adding in the village just make this one even better. Just a really cool Minecraft seed. Earlier in the video, I said to stay tuned for another really awesome village seed, and well, here we are. This seed is just really cool. The spawn has a mountain circle and these jagged peaks are just really tall. This one stretches up to Y level 247, but that's not even the reason for me to show this seed. There's the village at spawn too, and this huge dripstone crater. The village even generates down in the hole too. We have the farm and Mason's house down here, surrounded by dripstone. This cave even goes down to Y level 24 with the deep dark. This just looks really awesome.
Alright, I've got a seed that I think plenty of people will like. One of those types of seeds that I feature on my channel quite often. And if you do like the Minecraft seeds that I feature on my channel, remember to subscribe. This is another seed with a lot to like at spawn. Though that's something I can pretty much say about all the seeds I try to feature. The terrain around spawn is just absolutely wild. I mean, I don't really know where to start. It all just looks incredible. Just the mountains, the various biomes, the colors. I really like it all. But this little cliff area with the mansion looks the craziest. I mean, tall mansions are always something I love to find. But when I get to combine it with a jungle cliff like this and some water at the bottom, just come on, man. It's just great. I can't get over how cool this looks. There's just so much I could say about it. But let's focus on the mansion itself now. With all of the crazy terrain, the entrance is surprisingly easy to access. There's this maze room on the bottom floor, which has some loot at the end of it. The middle floor really gives us a good look at the terrain around the mansion, and some terrain inside of the mansion too. And all the way up on the top floor, there isn't just one of these arena rooms, but there's actually two of them. They both have some loot on the top overhead loft area to collect. I also just want to talk about this mountain area near spawn too. We get a nice crater here that leads to a lush cave area. And then down below over here, there's another lush crater area. This one looks really awesome, I think. And you probably noticed that there's a pillager outpost within the mountains too. It comes with the tower, of course, but also with an iron golem cage, an empty cage, and a log collection. As always, there's loot at the top of the tower. Continuing past the mountains will bring us to the ocean with some pretty cool cliffs. And there's this cave entrance too that leads to some sections of lush cave. Just some cool looking terrain around here. I like this waterfall area. But of course, let's not forget my main reason for featuring the seed, that beautiful spawn area with that tall woodland mansion.
I've been looking for villages that generate on lakes lately. I show plenty of ocean villages, which are obviously really cool, but I've thought it also looks pretty cool to see a village generate right on top of a deep lake too. This water actually goes down to deep slate at Y level -25. This big lake is near savanna, forest, plains, and ocean biomes. The village is nearly fully on top of the lake, with just small pieces of path off two sides of the lake. We get 2 churches, a mason's house, and a library in the village. I think this looks really cool. I'll probably look for more of these soon. Ever since somebody requested a flower forest village seed, I've been adding them into my videos so often. I definitely see why people want to see these. The scenery that flowers add is just fantastic. But this seed has a bit more. The village has not just 1 blacksmith, not just 2 blacksmith buildings, but 3 blacksmith buildings. And these 2 are right next to each other. Just a lot to like about this seed. Since the Caves and Cliffs update, some of my favorite Minecraft seeds to find are these cliff islands with lush caves. They just look so cool. The colors of the Badlands biomes make this one even better. Even the non-lush cave sides look really cool. And the biome causes mine shafts to generate on the cliff sides too, which is really cool. Just such an awesome Minecraft seed to find. This is one of the oddest Minecraft seeds I've ever found. I was on the search for some seeds with woodland mansions and mountain circles, and I have that, but it's a bit different than what I was expecting. The village being here isn't even the weirdest thing here. I mean, obviously the village generating on top of the mansion and inside of the mansion is really cool, and this piece of farm generating down in the cave is cool too, but the mansion actually generating in this dripstone cave is the craziest part of this seed in my opinion. You don't usually see the entrance of the mansion in a cave either, so that's pretty crazy. Aside from this piece of the top floor, the entire mansion is inside of the cave. Just really cool. All of that, and I've hardly mentioned the mountains that spawn. Just an awesome Minecraft seed. I've been on the search for a perfect survival island in modern Minecraft for a while now. I've just been looking for a tiny island with 1 tree in the middle of an ocean with nothing else in sight. It sounds simple, but with how Minecraft terrain generates now and my own pickiness, it's just not that easy. But honestly, to me, this seed right here is perfect. A flat island, 1 tree, some sand, some grass, the island just being an ocean biome and not a plains or anything like that. And looking around, all I can see is ocean. It checks all the boxes, it's just perfect. Could it have gravel? Yes. Could it have sugarcane? Yes. Would that make it any better? Honestly, I don't really care. After doing island searches over this time, this is what I was looking for. So for me, I guess the search doesn't end, but this is about as perfect a survival island can be. I recently mentioned that I've been searching for the tallest woodland mansion I can find. I've looked through about 800 seeds so far, and this is the tallest mansion I've found thus far. The process of looking through these tall mansions is pretty simple. I have a Cubazooer session with a woodland mansion at spawn, near a high erosion windswept savanna. I'm just generating seeds from there and checking them out in game. And I'm just doing that while I watch the MLB and WNBA playoffs at night, so it's not too much of a hassle. Just by looking at the map, I can tell that some won't be tall too, so I can skip them without loading them in game. This mansion goes up to Y level 244. For reference, the generation height limit is 256. But I know somebody has found a mansion at 257 before. Knowing the sea level is 62, we know that this mansion is at least 182 blocks tall. But the mansion actually goes down below sea level, and the lowest point I could find is at 51. So that means this mansion from bottom to top is 193 blocks tall. The mansion looks really cool too. The windswept terrain causes this cave-like thing in the foundation here. That seems to be a fairly common thing with these tall mansions I've noticed. And the entrance here actually goes all the way down to the ocean too, so it looks extra tall. But this 1 dirt block stops 1 row of cobblestone from going down all the way. And some of it also stops when it hits the windswept terrain here too. Aside from this side with the windswept terrain, the other 2 sides just have huge sections of cobblestone. So yeah, that's where I'm at on my tall woodland mansion seed search. If you want to see another tall mansion, check out the video on the left. YouTube will give you the video it thinks you'll like the most on the right. Thanks for watching. I'm out of here. See ya.